at the 3. Lining up in the clock at 10 seconds and ticking. In the shotgun, Mahomes. 4-man front, receiver in motion, low snap. He runs and he throws, caught, touchdown. It's caught. Hardman caught the ball. The Chiefs have won. The Chiefs have won. The entire bench empties. Chasing Mahomes in the end zone. Their 3rd Super Bowl in 5 years. The Chiefs are back-to-back Super Bowl champions. It is a dynasty.
Let's get nasty on a Monday. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN with Carey Davis and Andrew Marsh and Anthony Stalter. At some point, we will hear from our guy, Jamie Rivers, who's on the road with the Blues as they get a couple of dubs over the weekend. We will do some Blues talk. But, look, we're going to talk about last night's victory for the Kansas City Chiefs, all of Red Kingdom.
You included.
Me included.
You, most importantly, you. I mean,
thanks, Gary.
What else?
Yeah, I do feel that.
How would you, I mean, come on.
14 straight days, I was a Chiefs fan. And last night, thank you. Last night, watching my team get the ball back, just needing a field goal for OT, I felt this is kids, gather round. Gather round. You're going to see Patrick Mahomes do what he does best.
Never a doubt, Anthony.
Never a doubt.
Never a doubt, baby, right here.
Wait a second.
What?
You got a Chiefs?
What are you talking about? I picked them on Friday.
You did. You certainly did not. You did the 49ers. What are you talking about?
You definitely.
Where did that come from?
49ers.
I had it in my closet. I've been a Chiefs fan.
What's going on here?
What are you talking about? I picked the Chiefs.
You can't just hop on the bandwagon.
Everybody wants to be part of the win.
You did.
I did not. I was a fan for 14 straight days. We've been over this.
I've been a fan for a couple hours.
You're like my son Killian last night. He did 49ers go up. He was rooting for the Chiefs initially, right? Yeah. All Chiefs. 49ers go up 10. Go 49ers. I'm like, nope, we're not doing this.
How that works?
And Chris and my wife goes, oh, Anthony, he can jump back and forth. I go, no, he cannot.
We'll cut that out right now.
I go, I looked at Killian. I said, when the Chiefs come back, I don't want to be hearing go Chiefs. And of course, the fumble happened on the punt return. Chiefs go in, they go up, and all of a sudden, homeboy's like, go Chiefs. I'm like, son of a.
Well done. Well played.
Well played.
That's how you should do it.
So
you'll never lose if that's the case.
No, and he never does. So I guess he's the smart one. Carey, Marsh, there are a lot of different takeaways that we'll get into. We'll get into Kyle Shanahan. We'll get into Travis Kelce. We'll get into, of course, some Patrick Mahomes. We'll get into some of the miscues, a lot of the miscues with San Francisco, including Kyle Shanahan's overtime decision-making. But if I were to ask you, don't run the gamut, don't spin the entire wheel. If I were to ask you one, storyline to emerge from last night, what was the one storyline that emerged for you?
Patrick Mahomes. There is nothing else to be said.
Mahomes.
We talked about it all last week, and you finally came to the conclusion Friday, say about 4:30, that everything in me wanted to root for the 49ers, but I would not. Why? Because of Patrick Mahomes. He is going to figure out a way, and he is the ultimate competitor. Whether it's running, he made some big plays with his legs. He finally got things going in the passing game, was able to find Travis Kelce. Those two connected very well over the second half of the game. That's the storyline. You can cut it off at that. What happened? Patrick Mahomes happened. Mm-hmm. That's going to be the story. I don't know how much longer. I mean, I hope we get to watch this because it is fantastic. This is not a team offensively that you would say is one of the better teams. They struggled all season offensively, moving the ball, putting points on the ball, catching the football. MVS caught a pass in the end zone and almost dropped it. He had to, every receiver or person that catch, when it's a double catch, he was just happy that he caught it. So was everybody else because he's dropped those passes all season long. This is a team, I don't know if it's a team of destiny, but, I mean, hell, you cannot complain about anything you saw last night from the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a bad start, wasn't great. 49ers didn't put enough points on the board when they had that many opportunities, too many drives, ending with punts, and you allowed the Chiefs to stay in the game. They made every big play that needed to be made. You got a muffed punt, they recover it. You get a blocked field goal, a blocked extra point, which proved to be one of the most important plays of the game. You take that for granted. Oh, we'll go up by 4. No, you won't. We'll block it. Now you're up by 3. And we're still in the game with a chance to tie it to send it to overtime. It's just too many things that happened in the right way for the Kansas City Chiefs. And they were the better team.
I thought the Kansas City defense was incredible last night.
How about that D, baby?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
gotta love the D.
They did enough to put Patrick Mahomes in the right position to win that game. I thought that game last night was actually super boring and bad.
Yeah.
It was a bad game. I mentioned to you in the office, it reminded me of the 2011 Game 6 World Series. Everyone remembers that game, one of the best World Series games. That game was terrible up until like the final few innings. That's how this game felt last night. And Patrick Mahomes took over, and he makes everyone around him better. He does. You talk about MVS. McCole Hardman, game-winning touchdown. Who had that on their bingo card? Not me. I thought overall, like, the game ended up being awesome. Went to overtime. I know you mentioned overtime. We're going to get into that later, but I thought Patrick Mahomes was Patrick Mahomes, and Brock Purdy was fine.
Yeah.
He didn't do any like you. He didn't.
He didn't win the game.
He didn't win the game. He didn't lose the game. He was fine.
But he didn't win the game.
Exactly.
He did not do enough. And I don't blame him. I told you all Friday, if the 49ers are going to win this game, it's going to be on the back of Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey had 8 catches for 80 yards. He should have had more than that because they should have run a couple of screens, and they didn't. The big play he had was he's leaking out into the flat after he chips, and Brock is able to find him for about a 30, 40-yard game.
It was a really nice play by Purdy.
It's a great play of him understanding where his check down is and getting the ball to one of his best players. But there were so many times that the 49ers could have run screens on the Kansas City Chiefs and probably gashed them for big chunks. They didn't. People will look at the numbers. Oh, he caught 8 passes. He should have caught 12. He should have caught 10 for 140 yards. It's just understanding what you're going up against. He should have been the guy that touched the ball the most because he was Debo. I don't know if he hurt I don't know if it was a cramp or a hamstring issue. You couldn't find that tight end, George Kittle, that is the best tight end in your opinion. He wasn't very good last night. He was completely unable to be found. And the other tight end, the best tight end in the league, was open. So, that's neither here nor there. But the fact that you allowed Brock Purdy to pass the ball 38 times, that is a recipe for failure. And we talked about it. There was a point in time in that third quarter where they had back-to-back drives where they were 3 and out. 6 passes. What the hell are we doing? Why are we passing the ball 6 times? Now, again, the first pass was you got behind it was a play where it broken down and you caught a pass behind the line of scrimmage, 8-yard loss. Now you're 2nd and 18. You got to pass it to get out of that. But you can't have those situations where you're 3 and out and your best player on the field does not get a carry. That's not a recipe for success.
So when I was after the game, when I was thinking about this question that I just posed to you guys of what's the storyline? What ultimately is the storyline? There's going to be a lot of things that people discuss. There's things that we're going to discuss on the show. But what ultimately was the story of this Super Bowl? I had told Marsh before the show. Ultimately, my storyline is Kyle Shanahan is not a Super Bowl winner because of Tom Brady and because of Patrick Mahomes. He is not a Super Bowl winner because he doesn't have Tom Brady or Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes won that game last night in the fourth quarter and overtime. And I didn't think he played great necessarily in the first 2.5 quarters of that game. He threw the 1 interception trying to force it. I also credit San Francisco for having an outstanding game plan. They were great. And Mahomes didn't force too many things. The offensive line wasn't great at times for Kansas City. Nick Bosa did a remarkable job. If he wasn't getting to Mahomes, he was keeping him in check. I thought Bosa was incredible last night.
We talked about that in the office. Bosa is the reason why they lost that game the last couple of plays of the game.
Well, okay. Well, let's get into that a little bit later on. So that's interesting. But Mahomes, everybody knew it. When they got the ball back, needing 3 to force OT, you knew it was going to happen. And he went to work immediately. Found Watson on the one, Kelce on the other, and all of a sudden, they were even in position to potentially win that thing. And if Creed Humphrey, who was a problem all last night. Romo didn't point it out until about the third quarter. Creed Humphrey's snaps were terrible all night. All night. If Creed Humphrey snaps the ball correctly on that one where he goes to Kelce, it's kind of a desperation throw, and Warner was in perfect coverage.
Like the final
play of the fourth quarter before they kick the game-tying field goal. If that's a good snap, Mahomes is going to hit Rice right in the middle of the field.
He should have hit him anyways.
He probably should have.
But okay, think about it. If the snap's low, where's Mahomes
outside?
Eyes going.
He's panicking and getting the ball out as quickly as possible.
His eyes
not as good as they say he is.
His eyes have to go to the ball, so he takes his eyes off the receiver, off the defense. I mean, to get that snap. It's a terrible snap. Now it didn't matter in the end; they won, but that was a problem throughout. This was the worst of the 3 championship teams that Kansas City said. This was the worst team,
no question,
and they won. And they were trailing again. And
how about that D, baby?
How about that D? This was the best defense that Patrick Mahomes has had. But I think that also speaks to his evolution as a quarterback, which we'll get into in a little bit. But I thought that the main storyline was one team had Mahomes and one team didn't. If you really wanted to boil everything down, we get in all the intricate details because football's a team game, and football last night was 60-plus minutes. But one side had Mahomes, one side didn't. That's it.
I agree.
And now they're a dynasty, 3-5. You're a dynasty, and this thing, since he's 28 years old, is going to continue here.
He'll be back.
Let's get into Shanahan now. Let's get into Shanahan's decision overtime.
Not if my Vikings don't have anything to say about it, Anthony.
Whoa, hey,
Let's take this off real quick. Yeah.
Boy,
What
that
is going
get out of
on
here.
in here?
That happened quickly. The Air Alliance Team YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL. Snake, shout out to the Snake Pit. Can now see.
Oh, man.
Now that we're officially in the off season, Marsh is back in purple and yellow.
Oh, my God.
He's got his hoodie on. It's a nice hoodie. He's got Minnesota up the sleeve, Viking logo on the chest.
Man, that felt icky for a little bit.
All right, fair enough.
I gave it 15 minutes, though.
You did. You gave it 15 good minutes.
Proud of you.
Before we get into Shanahan here, I want to thank all of Chiefs Kingdom. You didn't want me. You told me to get out of here. You told me to go to hell. We don't want you, Stalter. Get out. You're going to curse our team. I know you didn't want me, but I just want to thank you. I'm grateful that I was able to hang on to the bandwagon there for a while. Now, you gave me a chain that you wanted to put around my neck, and then you just dragged me. That's what you allowed at the end. But I experienced greatness last night, and now I'll let you go. Okay? But I appreciate it.
You
for
going back
2
to
weeks.
Atlanta?
I have to. I got to go back home to get punished. Okay? But I appreciate Chiefs Kingdom for allowing me to be a Chiefs fan for 2 weeks. I'll let you go now. All right? Thank you. Again, you didn't want me, but I thank you. Kyle Shanahan, how much did he screw up last night? Again, we'll get into it here on 101 ESPN. So Kyle Shanahan's a big topic of conversation today. Not only did his team lose yet another Super Bowl in which they were up. I will say this, even though the 49ers were up, they were winning, they were the better team for most of that game. They also, I don't know how you guys feel, correct me if I'm wrong, I do not feel that the 49ers were ever in control of that game. They were leading, but I never felt they seized control of the game. I felt they were much better on both sides of the ball for stretches, but never did I say, this is San Francisco's game. They are in control of this game.
They never were, because as many opportunities as they had, they didn't score touchdowns. Mm-hmm. When you are playing a team, again, that has been in these moments, that has had success in the way that the Kansas City Chiefs have, you have to score touchdowns. You cannot have 3 and outs. You cannot get down and turn the ball over. You cannot kick field goals. You have to put the ball in the end zone. And there were way too many opportunities for the 49ers to do so, and they just did not get it done. It's frustrating. I'm sure there is a level of frustrating throughout the entire, team, because they had everything right there in front of them. I'm looking again at the final play of, what was that, the fourth quarter, when they had the ball, when they had a chance to go down there and score a touchdown on the 3rd and 4. I could not tell you what the hell pass protection this is. The one where Chris Jones is unblocked. Mm-hmm. How you decide to leave the best player on the defense unblocked in this moment is absurd to me. It is one of you blocked a DB with a lineman and left the best defensive player unblocked. There were, when you watch this and see the mistakes that were made, the 49ers did it to themselves. And now you have the ball hitting off of a teammate's foot. You have to be yelling, Peter, 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 which tells everyone on the field, on your side, on the punt return team, to run to the nearest sideline. Get the hell out of the way. I don't know if Ray McLeod was yelling Peter. He saw the ball bounce off the guy's foot and was unable to recover it himself. That's the first time the Chiefs were able to put the ball in the end zone. You gave them life. Just everything that could happen did happen. You got a turnover to start the third quarter and did not put points on the board. Just too many mistakes. And then Dre Greenlaw tears his Achilles running onto the field. That broke my heart. Yeah. Because he was definitely a game changer for them. And to tear his Achilles running onto the field, how do you
get better? Right.
Yeah. There's no words for that.
You work your ass off to get to that point. You're an impactful player.
Let me get hurt on the field.
Right.
Tear my knee up while I'm tackling somebody.
Right. Not like that.
Not like that.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that was frustrating for me.
So Shanahan, of course, is being criticized for his decision to take the ball in overtime. He should be. There's really no reasoning that makes sense to take the ball there. Now, he did say, he gave the reason why. He said that he wanted the third possession of overtime. So 49ers, they get it. If they score a touchdown and the Chiefs respond with a touchdown, then he would get that third possession, and now it's sudden death. That was his line of thinking. The problem is that, as Reid and some of the other Chiefs players had mentioned, they were going to go for 2. If the 49ers scored a touchdown on the opening possession of overtime, kicked the extra point, and the Chiefs go down by 7, they would have gone for 2. The 49ers were never going to see the ball back.
As they should have.
That is something you have to calculate when you're thinking of that decision. So we could sit here and say, oh, okay, I kind of see what his line of thinking was, but you fail to put into reason what might happen. You have to play out every scenario. And the other thing is you want to know what you're chasing. So give the ball up, just like the Chiefs. The Chiefs lose the toss. Okay. They were going to kick regardless. They win the toss, they were going to kick. Why? So they know, do I need a field goal to win, or do I need a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to win? You now become in the power spot when you have the ball second in overtime in that situation. So you now know, all right, I'm going for it on every fourth down, or I need to play it a little cautiously because I don't need a touchdown. I need a field goal. So unfortunately for Kyle Shanahan, this is going to be another situation that adds to the tally list of, hey, great regular season coach, cannot get it done in the postseason.
I thought that overtime drive, too, at first wasn't impressive, right? They got bailed out by a flag.
Yeah. That was putrid.
Yeah, that was horrible.
If McDuffie doesn't get the holding call there, they're punting on a 3-and-out, and now all Mahomes needs is a field goal, which we all know he would have gotten it. Mm-hmm. You're right. So they go backwards. It's just unfortunate. I don't blame Kyle Shanahan for a fumbled punt. I don't blame Kyle Shanahan for Moody getting the extra point blocked. I don't blame Kyle Shanahan for designing an excellent opening drive that's capped with Christian McCaffrey putting the damn ball on the ground. I don't blame him for those moments. But that is a spot in overtime where he has got to make the right decision with the understanding of, I want to be the second possession so I know what the hell I'm doing.
And that goes into knowing the overtime rules, correct?
That's correct.
That would help.
So the more so his decision can be debated, but at least he had some thinking to it. There is no excuse for his players. Kyle Juszczyk said it. Other guys said it. There is no excuse for the 49ers players not to know what the overtime rules are in the playoffs. Andy Reid and the Chiefs went over it in training camp. This is something that Bill Belichick would have gone over and over and over and would have told his guys consistently. Say what you want about Belichick. He would have gone over it all season. We get in overtime in the Super Bowl. We want the ball second.
I was telling you in the office that I'm a psychopath and watched
That's why we love you.
A lot of the final minutes of previous Super Bowls last night because I was just in the zone. And I was watching the Steelers-Seahawks Super Bowl, and Pittsburgh had the ball, and they were trying to just kill the clock, right? At least make it impossible for the Seahawks to come back down by 10. Mm-hmm. And Jerome Bettis was in the huddle, and there was like a mic'd up moment, and he was saying, this is everything we've been doing since training camp. Mm-hmm. These are the things, it's like a first week drive. Nothing different.
Right.
We're going back to training camp here, and they ended up winning the game.
Yep.
But that's what it is. It's about being prepared, and the Chiefs are prepared. They've been in this situation before. That's why they won.
That's exactly why they won. I mean, I said it last week, 2 weeks ago when they played the Ravens. The Ravens were not prepared, in my opinion, to be in that moment. The 49ers probably were more prepared, but you have to score touchdowns. You cannot leave points on the field. You cannot give Patrick Mahomes an opportunity to, all he needs is a field goal to either tie the game or to win the game. And when you put yourself in that type of position, more times than not, he's going to have success. He's shown it through his body of work his entire career thus far. 4 times in the Super Bowl, 3 times Super Bowl champion, 6 times in the AFC game, in the AFC Championship game. He's a different dude. Like at the end of the day, that's probably the best way to put it. And you cannot give guys like that an opportunity to get the ball. The best place for you to win a game against the Chiefs is with his butt on the sideline watching. Because if he gets on the field, he's probably going to find a way to win.
Yep.
And going back to being prepared, how did they score the final game-winning touchdown? They ran the same damn play they did against the Eagles last year.
Corn dogs, Jackie. Corn dogs.
The little details win championships.
Yes, they do. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. We have What's Trending next. So this is a true story. Jamie Rivers, who he's got a lot of things going on. He's got multiple jobs, as everybody knows. He's got the radio station. He's got Bally's. He also has a company. he was feeling run down. I could see it on him. He wasn't getting in the gym. He wasn't feeling great. He wasn't sleeping well. Stress and pressure and all that stuff started to pile up. So he went down to Mentality, and he talked to their outstanding experts, their board-certified experts, about low testosterone, something he had never considered before. He didn't know, he's like, I don't understand. How can I have low T, right? So he went down there, talked to them about how he's feeling. Run down, no energy, no motivation. The drive is waning. He knows he had way more in the tank. And a couple of months in on Mentality's program, after discovering that he did have low testosterone, he started to feel great, started to turn things around. I noticed it. And I said, hey, man, what's your secret? Mentality. So he took me down to Mentality. Same deal. If you are feeling run down, you don't feel like your ultimate self, you don't have energy, you're constantly going for more coffee or more energy drinks, and yet you feel like you haven't accomplished anything. And everything you've tried, it just doesn't work. If you're a man, you might be low on testosterone. It's natural. You're not going to be alone on this. It happened to Jamie, happened to me, happens to everybody. A lot of guys when they get older. So head down to Mentality, 2 locations. Tell them Jamie and Anthony sent you in, or visit lowtusa.com. They will help. It's Mentality.
ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues pick up 2 victories over the weekend, 3-1 against Buffalo and 7-2 against Montreal. They'll take on the Toronto Maple Leafs tomorrow night. Pregame starts at 5 o'clock. Puck drop is at 6, and you can catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. Last night, Kansas City, they defeated San Francisco in the Super Bowl 25-22. We'll talk more about that. We'll also get into your Blues, but we have what's trending coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this SportsCenter update is driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
It's time to find out what's going on in the sports world with What's Trending Now. Brought to you by Goodwill. Donate a car and get tickets to the St. Louis Cardinals.
I think I turned it on, yeah.
3, 2, 1.
What's trending is now with Anthony Stalter and Carey Davis. I'm Andrew Marsh. Might have turned the mic on a little too soon.
You got it.
It's all right. You know, we were having a good time last night watching the Super Bowl, of course. At halftime, we saw Usher. What'd you guys think of the halftime show? I know Carey liked it.
Loved it would be the correct word. Loved it. Usher,
baby,
as we like to call him. He calls himself Usher, baby. He did his thing. And the fact that people are bothered, he didn't sing a complete song. Well, that's kind of the point. You got to sing a lot of songs. You don't have a lot of time. You only get snippets of all of the songs that people love, for the most part. Now, everybody's going to have a song or two here that they don't appreciate, that they didn't get to hear, and they become frustrated. He brought will.i.am out. He brought Ludacris out. He brought Lil Jon out. He brought Jermaine Dupri, and he brought out Alicia Keys. He could have stopped right there. He could have went on. I mean, that was more than enough, right? You bring Alicia Keys out, and she looking. That, to me, he could have walked off. He could have dropped the mic and went on about his day. But he kept going. He kept performing. What more do people want? You're not going to get an entire song. You're going to get snippets of songs. He brought out her, who played the guitar in a. That was just awesome. And people are always going, one person who I let know as we were coming in and they were leaving, Tanner, T-Bone, we love him. Don't love his music takes. He's no longer allowed to speak on Usher. He's going to have to
What was he saying? Because I missed that. I know they're giving him crap.
He doesn't like anything, I think, other than the game. He didn't like the commercials.
Well, the commercials were terrible.
Well, yeah, they weren't.
They were bad.
Who wants to say it is what it is.
I just felt like every old celebrity was in a commercial just trying to get a cash grab. Yeah.
Are they paying?
They were fine.
And they're playing. So, yeah, it is what it is.
I like the Ben Affleck and
the Duncan
one. I thought that was
pretty funny.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like when Matt Damon said, "How do you like these donuts?" or something. He goes, "I'm sorry." I thought that was pretty good. Tom Brady was pretty funny in that one too. Other than that, like whatever.
Did we even get an Anheuser-Busch commercial? Like, did we see any Clydesdales?
No.
A cute dog? Did we get any of that?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, man.
You know, as far as the halftime show, Usher is not. I don't like one Usher song. Not one.
Anthony.
I don't like one Usher song. I just don't.
Anthony.
It's not my type of music.
These are your confessions.
I hate that song.
Oh,
I do.
my
Any song. I'm not a fan.
Like one of the best albums of all time.
What?
Yes. Yes.
Usher and one of the best
my goodness.
albums of all time?
You said this last week.
Did
we
that
are
trickle
brothers.
out of your mouth?
Yes, it did. Yes.
What?
Yes, it did. It definitely did.
I fed my 2-year-old during the halftime show. It was on in the background. I was listening. The wife and the other kids were there. They were enjoying it. Killian had his shirt off. He was like, as soon as Usher took his shirt off, Killian took his off. He was doing this thing. He was breakdancing. Cool. I knew I wasn't going to enjoy Usher. I do like Luda. I like Ludacris a lot. I would have liked to see more Ludacris. But if I take a step back and say, hey, you know, like watching the YouTube clips and things like that, he had a lot going on. He brought out, like you said, he brought out different performers. He was up there on roller skates at one point. He had the Tron thing going. Cool. Awesome. He entertained the people. Not a fan, but that's kind of what the halftime show. just standing up there and just doing like 3 songs full. That's not a halftime show. It's not what it's become.
I was telling Carey, still to this day, my favorite halftime show is Prince in Miami while it was raining.
Yeah,
fantastic. I watched it last night during my binge of previous Super Bowls because I'm a psychopath, like I said. By the way, the Snake Pit is letting us know that there was an AB commercial. There was an AB commercial. I must have missed it. I had a lot of snacks, went to the bathroom.
Can I bring this back a little bit? Because when I say Confessions is one of the best albums, it was nominated for 8 Grammys. And he won 3 off of the album. I will gladly say it was one of the best albums.
I'm just saying.
Okay, that's all I got. I'm done here.
I'm just saying. I don't know.
Nominated for Album of the Year also.
I don't know
Didn't
who
win.
I don't know who he was up
But he
against
won
that
3.
year.
He won 3.
Might have been a horrible year
Grammys.
for
Come
music.
on.
You
Come
know?
on.
Anthony wants the Who back.
No, I don't.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't think there's been a halftime show that I've just absolutely loved, to be honest.
Go back and
Ray Charles won the Album of the Year that year for Genius Loves Company. You remember that one?
No.
There you go. All right.
So there you go. Not a great year for music.
No, College Dropout, Anyway, American Idiot by Green Day was in the category.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know that song. I don't know that album.
So he was up against basically the NFC South of quarterbacks.
What? Stop it.
Ray Charles, Green Day in their heyday, American
and Kanye
Idiot,
West?
and Kanye, the old Kanye.
You're doing nothing for me. Wow. All I heard right there was Marcus Mariota.
I am so disappointed.
Derek Carr.
I am disappointed.
And Desmond Ritter. That's what I heard.
Oh my goodness, man!
So you want me to celebrate Baker Mayfield?
You had a good year.
For
You
beating
loved Bakey this year. You were all in.
He had a good year for him.
Goodness.
You know what Anthony wants his halftime show to be?
What is he
That
want?
guy that had a jetpack in like Super Bowl 1.
That you see in all the NFL films.
Just flying around.
Just flying around.
I used to have a VHS of like NFL rock and roll music, and you know where they time it out to all the tackles, everything like that. And I love that thing. I love that VHS tape. And they played John. What's his name? Rocket Man. John. What's right?
John Lennon?
Lennon. No.
Not Lennon.
Elton John. Thank you.
Yeah.
Elton John. You're
thinking of John Elway.
And all I think of John Elway singing it. And they got in one of the scenes they got him with the halftime show with the Rocket Man and stuff. That's what it reminds me of. But no, I know I'm not going to appreciate it. They're not targeting me.
It wasn't for you.
So that's fine. It's the best I can give you.
Hey, man.
I'm not going to sit here and say Usher should
There
ever
was
be
a
like
time
album
in
of
the
the year.
early 2000s where Atlanta just ran the music scene, and that's what Usher brought to you all last night. He brought Atlanta. He said he brought Atlanta to the world. So there you go.
Anthony, you should appreciate that.
It's good to see Atlanta represented in the
Finally.
Super Bowl. It doesn't happen a lot.
And they won last night, so how about that?
That's a good point.
There you go.
Last thing here, the Blues won a few games this weekend.
Yeah, they did.
3-1 against Buffalo, and then 7-2 against Montreal, and now they'll take on the Toronto Maple Leafs. They got a gauntlet of a schedule coming up, but I think they're playing good hockey, Anthony.
They certainly are. I thought Joel Hofer played really well on Saturday. I thought yesterday's game, obviously from a scoring standpoint, gets started right away with Torpchenko did basically going the distance. Great play by him. We'll get much more. We'll get deeper into the Blues when Jamie joins us for a couple of segments. But I think that this team, coming out of the break, playing with urgency, playing well defensively, playing well in net, getting that secondary scoring. This looks like the team. This resembles the team the last 2 days as the one that ended the first half on that 5-1 run. They had the one loss to Columbus, but they picked up where they left off with the 5-game winning streak. They look really good.
They do look really good, and I don't know if we want to get too excited just yet, but they are playing really, really well. They are showing, minus that Columbus game, which I guess we just chalked that up to being the last game before the break in everybody's mind. What game? Right. Never mind.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, clearly. So I think we just chalked that up to being the last game before the break, but them realizing even with that, we shouldn't have let that game happen in the manner in which it did. Mm-hmm. And they've come out on fire since the All-Star break.
These next two games are going to be huge for them, taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Edmonton Oilers, two good teams. I think these two games will really show us where this team is heading out of the All-Star break and maybe what we can expect down the stretch.
Like I said, we'll talk to our guy, Jamie Rivers, who's on the road. We'll be joined. Actually, he just texted here. So.
Yeah, he said Usher is mid.
Oh,
Usher's mid. Okay.
Peace. You know what, fellas? I'm going to let you all continue this show, and I'll be back at some point.
No.
When you change your mind on Usher.
You're going to stay right there, Carey. You're going to stay right there. So, yeah, we will be joined. We will be joined by Jamie Rivers. We'll talk more Blues. And listen, I get it. BK kind of gave me a heads up that some of you are not thrilled with the Super Bowl coverage because you want to hear all Blues. You're going to get nothing but Blues right up your yin-yang for a while now, okay, after today. So you're going to get so much Blues down your bleeping throats.
Anthony, you're going to go into a hibernation.
I'm going to go. I can't wait to dive into Blues and Cards. You're going to get all that after today's show. But listen, the Super Bowl just happened.
The Super Bowl!
It is the Super Bowl.
It's the biggest game in the world, other than, of course, the
World Cup.
Yeah.
World Cup. Yeah. When's the World Cup?
And
when it comes, I'll watch. That's for sure.
2026, right?
Yeah.
Every 4 years.
Yeah, there we go.
Every 4 years.
There is something that came out of, speaking of the Super Bowl, there's something that came out of last night's Super Bowl that almost kind of caused a little bit of an uproar that I'm surprised about. We'll get into that next on 101 ESPN. It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Carey Davis. I'm Anthony Stalters. Andrew Marsh. We got a text message in the break. Wanted to bring it to the light of day.
Yeah, so this is from the Snake Pit at Bach. He, actually, it went away. But basically, it said St. Louis people, as it pertains to the NFL, it's like dating or at least trying to get with your ex-girlfriend from high school. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody, it sounds nice, but, you know, you need to get over it. Everyone's moved on but you. That's what it's like for, apparently, St. Louis people watching the NFL.
Yeah.
So he's saying get over it and just enjoy?
No, just get over it.
Just get over it and
don't watch
the NFL. Yeah.
Your girlfriend left you.
Yeah.
Why are you still trying to talk to her?
That's your choice.
Find a new girlfriend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get over it.
Get over it. Thank you. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. There was something last night that occurred that, when I saw it live, I'm like, oh, boy, that's not great. That was it, though. That was the response I had. I was shocked when I woke up this morning, and a lot of people were talking about the Travis Kelce, Andy Reid situation, where Travis Kelce, during the game, slams his helmet down. It was right after the Isaiah Pacheco fumble. Tony Romo, I thought, he woke up last night and actually had a good take for once. I'm sorry, he's struggling. He's struggling.
Here's the thing. The further away you get removed from the game, the harder it becomes to start predicting what's taking place.
Sure.
I think that's what's happening.
Whatever.
You didn't even know the overtime.
Didn't know the overtime. He struggled. But I thought he explained that well. He said Travis Kelce probably wanted to be in on that play. Noah Gray was in. Noah Gray missed a block, helped lead to the fumble, and he was hot over it. Almost knocked over Andy Reid. You could see Andy Reid's reaction. He barely reacted. He's like, okay, here we go.
I didn't mind it at all.
After the game, Andy Reid was the way that he described it. He says, "I know Travis Kelce more than anybody. Like I have a good read on Travis, perhaps more than any other player. Love Travis, love his competitiveness. I wish." Then he looked at Booger McFarland and said, "Man, I got some bad balance," and that was it. And I don't think he was saying that just because they won. I don't think that this was going to be an issue, even if they lost. He probably still would have been asked by, because it's a moment. But Carey, you've been in you've been in the sidelines during a game. You've been in a Super Bowl during a game when the emotions are hot.
Yeah.
And you're also smashing into other grown men repeatedly and trying to win those battles.
Yeah.
It's not like you can flip the emotion on and off.
Listen. People will always say, well, if he was in the office and he bumped into us, it's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
These are people that are paid to move people against their will. There is a level of aggression to play in the National Football League that, honestly, most people would not understand or really want to be a part of. And so him bumping Andy Reid they have a relationship. He wasn't trying to knock Andy Reid over. He was trying to let him know whatever, get me involved in the game plan. Why am I over here? Yeah. What the hell are we doing? Fix it. Let's go. And he bumped into him. And he's, as Andy Reid said, he was not expecting it, unaware, and probably got jolted just a little bit and was able to keep his balance and not fall over. But I don't think it was an egregious thing from Travis Kelce where he was physically, this is assault and battery. He's abusing. Come on, man. This is two grown men that converse in that manner. Travis Kelce has been talked to in a way, I'm certain, by Andy Reid, that if you heard him say something to him, you'd be like, oh, my God, why is he talking to this grown man like that? That's the nature of football. And again, everyone is not going to understand it. I wouldn't advise you trying that in your office at some point this week and bumping into your boss and saying, figure it out. I don't think that will work. But when you're on a football field and you're coming off the field or you're on the sideline, and the level and the importance of what you're trying to accomplish, it reached a height, and there was a level of frustration. I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been people that have punched coaches have punched each other on the sideline.
Teammates have had to be separated.
Had to be pulled apart from one another.
Coaches and players have to be separated. Coaches versus coaches have been separated.
It's part of the game.
Yeah.
Is it now? I don't suggest you try it anywhere else, because that's just how the level of aggression in the NFL goes. I didn't think it was a big deal, though.
Like, I want to go up to Mike Ryder and just bump him out of nowhere, right?
Yeah,
we don't want to do that.
No, I don't think you should.
I mean, if you got to that level where you're like screaming at Ryder, like, get me on the board.
Come on! I mean, a cone of silence. Ready for the gauntlet.
I think Jamie, Carey, or myself would pull you aside and say, what is bothering you?
On?
Because something's up.
We did get some really good memes out of that, though, and I will say maybe he needed that to get himself into the game. He only had, I believe, 1 yard in the first half.
One catch, 1 yard.
It was the very first pass of the game.
One target.
Or, well, it was the first pass of the Chiefs' possession of the game.
He did not have a really good first half.
No,
I mean, their whole offense didn't.
I thought that going into halftime, you could tell that Andy Reid started to unlock some things, and I think Patrick Mahomes started to unlock some things. They started to figure out what San Francisco was doing. They took a lot of the passes over the middle and just said, okay, we'll just take it's like Tom Brady. We'll just take the profits. We'll take the 3 yards, the 4 yards, the 5 yards. Eventually, things are going to shake up here, and they did. Once San Francisco started to get tired, Mahomes started picking apart. He did what Mahomes does.
And maybe, again, the injury to Greenlaw may have helped.
Sure.
Because, no knock against anyone else, but Dre Greenlaw is a starting linebacker for a reason. He is an outstanding linebacker. And there were some struggles there getting passes to Kelce over the middle. They were doing a really good job of covering him and making sure he was unable to be targeted or catch balls. So that may have helped the Chiefs as well. I got a text. This is a text here saying, I'm a monster KC fan, and players and their coach, my blood pressure was so high last night, but would you run into Mike Tomlin or have yelled in his face? I have yelled at coaches in games, in practices, and I wasn't Travis Kelce. So, yeah. Yeah. It's part, and nobody takes offense to it. It's people communicating. Hell, it's loud out there. You got to scream sometimes to get your point across. No one can hear you.
Roman Berkey does that to the defense.
Yeah, he does. Darn right he does.
You yell at your guys or yell sometimes, and it's if you're thin-skinned, you won't survive.
Yeah.
You'll be run out of there quicker than you can even think about it.
And Carey, I mean, just final thought on this. You're right. You're not going to walk around the office doing that to your bosses because you're not in that environment. I mean, we are talking about, again, we're talking about grown men that have to physically punish the other team, the other person. And it becomes this you almost, hey, this is my battleground, right? Like, let's not do the war thing, but let's do the modern day gladiators. You are in the center, you are in the ring, and if you don't dole out the punishment, you're going to get hurt. Think about amping it up, only to what? Go to the sidelines and just say, oh, no, I'm good. I'm good.
I was in college, and my running back coach, I'm on the field, and he is screaming my name, telling me to do, we've practiced this for all week. Why the hell are you bothering me right now? And when I got to the sideline, I lost it. Stop calling my name while I'm on the field. I'm trying. And he was an older gentleman. He walked away, and he came back. He said, let me tell you something. Don't ever curse at me like that. I understand what you're saying, but he knew that the emotions, how can I do my job here if I'm looking to you? Stop calling my damn name, man.
Yeah.
You coached me. If you didn't do it right, then who should you be mad at?
Right.
Be mad at you. You coached me all week to prepare for this moment. There's no need to remind me because I know what the hell I'm doing, thanks to your coaching.
Yeah.
So those things happen in the game. It's not a big deal. You move on. You laugh about it, and maybe, you have a beer later on, and you win a Super Bowl, and guess what? That was hilarious. Why the hell did you bump into me like that?
Right. That's my fault. I was a psychopath.
Losing my damn mind. We were losing.
So the inevitable.
My girlfriend's in the stands. Give me the ball.
She was playing a concert less than 3 hours ago.
She's hanging out with Ice Spice.
Who's Ice Spice?
That's a different conversation.
Did they have an Ice Spice?
Oh, man.
Was there
Spice.
A sixth member of the Spice Girls?
No, she's not. No.
Fifth member?
She's not
they had
one of the Spice Girls. I didn't think about that, though.
Yeah, Ice Spice.
Nah, she's not.
Okay.
No, okay.
Who was Ice Spice?
Oh, man.
So the Mahomes Brady comparisons, they're out in full force here. Nobody's kind of picking sides. There is something that Brady did early in his career, then changed midway through his career. And I think we're already seeing that with Mahomes. That, I think, is the true comparison. We'll tell you what that is next on 101 ESPN.
Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. You can bet on all your NBA favorite players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and much more. Hey, you know I'm a Warriors fan. They are winners of 6 of their last 7. I love what they're doing. Jonathan Kuminga coming out of his shell. Steph Curry is one of the greatest to ever do it. So, if you want to bet on them, you should do that.
Well, you're talking about tonight's game. In fact, the Warriors, 8 o'clock in Utah. They're going to take on the Jazz. That's a pretty good matchup. There's some other teams. I mean, Cleveland is red hot. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. The Clippers have won 8 of their last 10. So the NBA's heating up, and you could play at FanDuel and cash in big if you know what you're doing. So just visit FanDuel.com/fast. Again, FanDuel.com/fast, and shoot your shot with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older and present in Illinois. First online real money wager. Only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Chiefs win last night in overtime, 25-22. Not a great game overall, but man, it was a thrilling second half, thrilling fourth quarter, thrilling overtime. A lot of different storylines. And Carey, now everybody's diving back into Mahomes and Brady. Look, Mahomes does not have the Super Bowl wins yet of Tom Brady. He also lost to him in the only Super Bowl that the two of them faced off. Tom Brady still has the mantle, but when it comes to the Mount Rushmore of greatest of all time, you've got Brady, you've got Joe Montana, and Mahomes winning 3 of 5. Already.
Yeah. 3
of 5. He's been in the league 6 years. The first year he didn't really play. I think he played in 1 game.
Yes,
5
at the end of the
years.
year.
So in 5 years, he's been to the AFC Championship game all 5 years, won 3 Super Bowls, lost 1. And he's only 28.
Not a bad resume.
Chances are he's gonna go down as the best to ever do it.
He could retire right now, and he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yes, he would.
Yeah.
But this got me thinking, so let's not do the whole Brady versus Mahomes thing. This got me thinking, though, of the evolution of both players. Tom Brady, when he first entered the league, was really a game manager. He made sure that he didn't make the big mistake offensively that took away from what Bill Belichick and the defense was doing. Managed the game properly. We're going to win close games. He had no heart rate in the fourth quarter of games to make big-time drives, but he really wasn't asked to do spectacular things. Mm-hmm. As he gained more experience, and I would say really it was that 2007 coming off Spygate, when he put up all the records and the Patriots offense put up all the records, that was really when we saw Tom Brady evolve into almost this absolute killer. Mm-hmm. Then you see some of these others. The Atlanta Super Bowl, he won. Had they beaten Philadelphia, he also would have won that one because Belichick's defenses weren't good in either of those Super Bowls. We saw the evolution of Tom Brady from like game manager, so to speak, to somebody that can win games virtually on his own. We're seeing that now with Mahomes, but reversed. Last night was not, he had some big throws.
Right.
But that was not the Patrick Mahomes that we saw entering the league, where he'd have, the left-handed pass, and he's going to throw it all over the yard. He's going to throw it deep because he's got Tyreek Hill. We saw him, despite the 300 yards, we saw him almost turn into, what are you doing defensively? Because I'll take what you're giving me.
Yeah.
And that's Brady-esque. So we're watching somebody, not only that's just one of the greatest, and it will continue to cement his legacy as one of the greatest, Carey, but I think we're seeing the evolution of Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback.
Well, the difference is the cast around him. I mean,
yeah.
2 years ago, you had Tyreek Hill. You had McCole Hardman was a different player then. He's not the same as he was a couple of years ago. You had Travis Kelce, who was younger. He's older now. The players that he had around him weren't nearly as good as they were, 3-4 years ago, because they're older or they're no longer there. But he still was able to find a way. I'm looking at his stats right now. This is minus the 2019 season where he only played in 14 games. He had 27 touchdowns this year. This is his second lowest. We don't count the first year because obviously he only played one game. Yeah. Second lowest in total number of yards passing with 4,183. Mm-hmm. He did not have his first year as a starter. He threw for 5,097 yards and 50 touchdowns. Man. His first year starting in the league. And so you're looking at what this year is, and that was the year where they lost to Brady in the AFC Championship game when D Ford jumped off sides. You're looking at what he was able to accomplish this year, and we joke about it, but there was a level of seriousness for both of us when we said we're not going to bet against him anymore. After I watched that Ravens game, there was no need for me to go against Patrick Mahomes ever again. The entire game yesterday, the Chiefs should not have been in that game. The 49ers allowed them to stick around with a multitude of mistakes. I was showing you the poor pass protection that they put out there, the fumbled, the muff punt. There were so many things. They got an interception, unable to score, got big stops, unable to score, and you allowed one of the greatest players to play the game to linger around and find a way to only be down 3 with a chance to tie the game going into overtime and a chance to win the game in overtime. And it's what happened. He is one of the best players, and I said earlier, the best way to stop Patrick Mahomes is to have your offense on the field and his butt sitting on the bench watching. Yep. Other than that, you're probably going to lose. The Buffalo Bills could tell you that as well. They watched it firsthand a few years ago when he got the ball with 13 seconds left. How the hell are you going to score? How the hell are you going to put? And he did. And so this is what he does. Just believe it, and if you want to win, take care of the football. Keep his butt on the sideline watching the game, and you will probably have success. But if he gets the ball, it's probably going to be the
game over.
Yeah.
Going back to Brady, his third Super Bowl win against the Eagles, he went 23 for 33, 236 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions compared to Donovan McNabb, who threw the ball 51 times in that game, completed 30 passes, threw for 357 yards, had 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Going back to the taking care of the football, that's why that team lost, right? And that was a good Eagles team. They had T.O. on their team, Donovan McNabb. This third Super Bowl, Westbrook. This, by the way, the coolest look ever is Westbrook, tinted visor, Eagles jersey. Not up for discussion.
Can I counter with a Brian Dawkins?
Yeah.
That's pretty good too.
That's Brian Dawkins is the one.
Maybe that's who I'm thinking of. That's who I'm thinking of. That's the coolest look ever.
Yeah, the visor.
He would
the
hit
midnight
you and pray
green.
over you.
Yeah.
He would pray.
He was awesome.
But anyways, this third Super Bowl win for Mahomes, 34 for 46, 333 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception.
I have to talk about that game, Marshy. That game is a.
Which one?
That game. Well, that game, the Eagles-Patriots game. We don't need to talk about that one anymore.
Why?
Because we should have been playing in that one. We lost. Anthony knows. He's a Falcons fan. Yeah.
If that NFC Championship game was in Atlanta, it would have been Vic.
And we probably stopped those guys.
Yep. That could have been.
Man, we played in Philadelphia, and it was like 6 degrees, and it was too cold. It was really cold, Anthony. It was.
That would have been a sick matchup. Michael Vick against Tom Brady.
Yeah. That was the year. That was the year Rams fans would know this because that was the year that the Rams beat Seattle in the wild card round,
and then got destroyed.
Went to
beat
Atlanta.
The hell out of those guys.
It was close. It was like 14-14 for a second, and then
I don't remember it being that close.
That was the end of the, like the Mike Martz era.
Yeah.
So they still had. I remember that game being tight, at least in the first quarter.
Someone on the text line said Marshall Faulk should have done what Travis Kelce did to Andy Reid. He should have done that to Mike Martz. Marshall Faulk.
Oh, Marshall
To
Faulk.
Mike
I'm sorry.
Martz.
I was thinking of Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn
He should have done that to Pete Carroll. Yep. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. By the way, we're just talking about Mahomes and winning a Super Bowl. I thought last year, because of the trade with Tyreek Hill and Mahomes getting paid and just the roster not being as good as the previous year, I thought that was more impressive than what he did as a rookie, as a second-year player, first-year starter against San Francisco that first time. He won a game last night where the offense didn't do much for 2.5 quarters, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling caught a pass in which he went backwards. He had a 7-yard reception that he turned into a negative play.
That was bad.
And Mahomes still found a way to win.
So that
was one of the most remarkable Super Bowls to win based on like the situation and those players around him.
When MVS caught that touchdown pass, I texted our group chat saying, "Hey, Anthony, that's your guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's your favorite player.
He's a hero."
And then he caught that one ball and went backwards. I almost sent a text message again.
There he is.
Saying, "Hey, there's the MVS that you know and love."
Yeah, absolutely. But Mahomes went to him the very next play.
Yeah.
For 6 or 7.
Yep.
Remarkable game for Mahomes. Remarkable for the Chiefs. They are absolutely a dynasty. There's really no question about it. We will dive into some Blues next hour when Jamie joins us, but we also want your mic drops. Let's get into this next. Would you buy, sell, or hold at the deadline if you're the Blues? Let's get an early deadline look here. Leave us a mic drop via the 101 ESPN app. Would you buy, sell, or hold at the deadline if you're the Blues? Hopefully we get a lot of reaction from you. Love to hear your thoughts on this as the Blues continue to stay hot. Winners of 2 straight over the weekend. Winners of 7 of their last 8. Would you buy, sell, or hold at the deadline if you're the Blues? Give us some mic drops. We'll dive into that next on 101 ESPN. I love heading down to the Missouri Athletic Club. I really enjoy making it a part of my daily routine. I often go to the West Clubhouse. Not that the downtown spot isn't fantastic, especially for events. You can work out down there too. But when it comes to just making the MAC part of my daily routine, I love hitting the West Clubhouse on my way in, working out. A lot of times I'll stay right there, get something to eat, prep for the show. I love making it just this, again, a daily routine for me. And when it comes to the Missouri Athletic Club, again, downtown, you're talking about great events. They always do things fantastic. They incorporate other themes throughout St. Louis, whether it's a live blues event or dinner or something Cardinals related or maybe something media related. They're always hosting the biggest events. That's my MEC, Missouri Athletic Club. Would you buy, sell, or hold at the deadline if you're the Blues? We're going to take your mic drops on this. So if you have a mic drop that you have a thought on this, great. Send it in. 101 ESPN app, completely free. So leave us your thoughts. Would you buy, sell, or hold at the deadline if you're the Blues? And we got 2 mic drops at least right now. One from Ed, one from Benjamin that we will play. Carey, what if you're the Blues right now? You're Doug Armstrong. Would you buy, sell, or hold when it comes to the deadline?
Well, we had Army on 2 weeks ago. And he said if they were in the same position that they were in, second place in the wild card, probably looking to hold. I don't know if that changes if you're trying to make a push or if you feel. I guess my question would be is if you are buyers, which you probably are, if they continue to play this way, what are you able to move and
Right.
get in return.
That's the thing.
That makes your team better. Because I think if you're ascending, going in the right direction, you probably stand pat and say, hey, we with the guys we got now, we're playing really well. We don't want to do anything to kind of shake that up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know where you would go to get more because you have to give up something to get something, right?
Yep.
So I'd probably still, no matter, if they continue on this hot streak that they're on or if they start to cool off, I'm probably still going to hold at the deadline.
This reminds me of the 2019 trade deadline. And we all know, hey, you won a cup. Great. I'm not claiming that. But in 2019, this is what Doug Armstrong did. The Blues started to play a lot better in February. He started to see a team that was coming together, a team that no longer was playing like independent contractors, his words, and said, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to see this out. I'm going to let this play out. And lo and behold, they wound up making one move at the deadline. I think it was Michael Del Zotto, and that was it. And they rolled with what they had. This year reminds me of that year. They don't have a bunch of expiring contracts like they did a year ago. Doug Armstrong needed to shake things up last year because he knew he really didn't have a playoff team on his hands. He knew he had expiring contracts. He knew he wanted to earmark some assets for the future, and he did. That's what he did. He made a couple of smaller moves, bringing in Kasperi Kapanen and bringing in Jacob Verana. I liked I like how he handled the deadline last year. I don't know if he's going to be able to move any of these bigger contracts at the deadline. I don't know if he wants to. Even if he wants to move somebody like Torrey Krug, I don't know somebody that's going to take on that contract and then give you something decent in return. So maybe you just sit pat. Maybe you look for a depth piece, but ultimately, I think you just say, hey, we are playing very well right now. If I can make a trade that makes a lot of sense for us, I'm not giving up something that's going to shake up the apple cart. Bring in some depth. Cool. If not, roll. So that's where I'm at on it. Where are you? Let's get some reaction here. Let's hear Ed first.
Guys, since we're talking about the Super Bowl, I'm going to say hold, like you would in Vegas. This has 2019 vibes when we went from worst to first. I don't know about you guys, but I like what we're seeing here, and I don't think we need to change it up. I mean, if you want to get like a hustle guy for the lower lines, great, but hey, let's hold this thing.
Ed, you sicko. I like you. Okay, so Ed and I obviously agree. We don't listen to these mic drops beforehand. Marsh previews them, but Ed and I were on the same page there. It does. It feels
this
like 2019.
is like 2019. They're going to win the Stanley Cup.
Well,
That's what I heard.
That's what I heard. I heard you say it, and then I heard Ed say it, so it must be true.
I was talking more from a trade deadline standpoint. It feels like
2019. That's all that matters in that season is winning the Stanley Cup. And you, sir, said it first.
Just gotta get it.
There you go.
I feel like you're headlining me right now. You're just reading the old headline and not reading the actual
says
article.
This team is similar to the 2019.
Okay, team.
230. Or I'm sorry, 223.
Yep.
323.
323.
Is it 3 already?
Yeah, it's 3.
I'm an hour
We've
behind.
been
We're an hour plus in, my man.
Right. Where have you been?
Don't be. Well, he's confused over there.
Man, I'm still soaking in that Chiefs Super Bowl win.
He's sweating with that Vikings hoodie he's got on.
It is. I know. God, I really want to. It's hot in here too. I really want to take it off, but I can't because I support my team.
There you go. Absolutely.
Oh man.
All right, let's hear next from Benjamin.
Great show, everybody.
Thank you.
I don't know why the Blues would do anything except sell at this point. It's clear that Army built this team for 2 to 3 years from now. He's holding out, waiting for Snuggie, Bolduc, and Dean to get here. We're starting to see Kyrou and Thomas come into their own, and Pareko's playing better as well. I still think that they could use a top pair defenseman of the elite caliber and really don't care what they give up other than Jordan Binnington to get him.
Interesting. Yeah, my only I get it. I get your line of thinking, Benjamin. The only thing is you need 2 to tango. So if other teams are looking at your contracts and saying, "Yeah, I'd like that player, but not at that price," what do you do?
I'm looking at the contracts right here, and a lot of these guys obviously have the no trade clause or modified no trade clauses. Marco Scandella is a free agent in 24. And
you can move him.
But what do you get in return?
That's the question.
I mean, he's played really well this season, but he's also 33, I believe.
But you're not going to get anything big, which is, I think, the point that you're making. And if you bring in a depth piece, he's a depth piece.
The other name that I've seen on the text line a few times is Pavel Buchnevich. And maybe you move him and Scandella and get somebody. I don't know. I personally don't think you need to do anything, because I think right now you are playing extremely well. Right. And who would want to mess with that?
He mentioned Jimmy Snuggerud and Snuggy. I don't know if they'll end up doing this or not, but I would really like to see him at the end of the year when Minnesota hopefully gets knocked out before they get to the Frozen Four. I hope that.
What did they do to you?
Well, there are my alma mater's rival team, so I hope they don't win. But and because I want him to be a part of this team at the end of the year, I think he could maybe provide some scoring, some depth scoring. He's a solid player. We saw what he could do at World Juniors and some highlight goals at Minnesota. So I wonder if they up his timeline, if they think that, hey, okay, if we're in a playoff spot here, maybe we can bring him in just for some depth scoring, perhaps, see if he can get acclimated to the NHL level quickly. But that's all I can think of. I don't know. I can't see them trading for anybody, and I don't know why they would sell if they're in this spot, because they talked about getting back to the playoffs. That's like their mission.
Right.
So if Marco Scandella's playing well and you're not going to get anything for him,
why move him?
Why move him? Absolutely. No, I agree with that. And Buchnevich is an interesting conversation. He's got a modified no trade clause, so you could move him with a year left on his deal. But if you don't absolutely love it, if you're not getting some cost control, at least one cost control player that provides some scoring for you, why do it? Buchnevich has been an excellent two-way player for you.
Right.
I wouldn't move him just to move him, but I understand the line of thinking of it from fans. We will get into more Blues in the 4 o'clock hour when Jamie Rivers joins us for a couple of segments. But let's do our Sports Six-Pack next. 314-399-9646 is our Air Comfort Service text line. If you got a question for us, again, send it into the Air Comfort Service text line. Six-Pack next.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. We just got talking about your St. Louis Blues as they defeated the Buffalo Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens over the weekend. A 3-1 victory in Buffalo and a 7-2 win in Montreal. The Blues will now take on the Toronto Maple Leafs tomorrow. Pregame starts at 5 o'clock. Puck drop is at 6. And you can catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. Jamie will join us later in the show, so stay tuned for that as well. Also, last night, Super Bowl 58, Kansas City defeated San Francisco 25-22 in overtime. We'll continue talking about the Super Bowl throughout the remainder of the show. But coming up next, we have our Sports Six-Pack. So if you have a question, send it our way to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. Sports Six-Pack coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
I have a question.
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six-Pack is now.
It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN with Carey Davis. I'm Anthony Stalter. Jamie Rivers will join us in the 4 o'clock hour to talk a little Blues hockey. But first, we got our Sports Six-Pack. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. So if you got a question, still time to get one in. Here's Andrew Marsh.
Question number 1.
From the 314, are you guys excited for the Battlehawks season?
I am. I'm excited to watch some spring football. I always enjoy that there's a little bit of a break after the Super Bowl, and then we could dive into it. I enjoy seeing what players I'm familiar with on the roster or what players I'm familiar with around the league. I kind of accept. I know what it is, and I know what it isn't. People tune in thinking they're going to get some sort of a version of the NFL, or like, oh, this isn't the NFL. No, of course not. It's not college football. It's you accept it what it is. But I enjoy rooting on St. Louis teams.
I think it's still good football. I think you, as you said, when you have guys that you know or have heard of, or guys that are working their way to potentially make an NFL roster, I think that's pretty awesome. And I think the level of competition that we saw last year in the XFL was really good. And as I told you, I've been down and watched the USFL, watched some of those teams not last year, but the year before. And I think it's going to be a really good product. I think everyone, it's about the younger people getting an opportunity to play, continue to go on with their career in hopes of making it to the NFL.
Sure.
You know, I'm excited. Getting back up there in the 400 section.
Yeah.
Sitting up at the nosebleeds.
You enjoyed that?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Jackson and I are thinking about going to, I believe this is April 6th, going to the Cardinals game, which is at 1:15. They're taking on the Marlins, I believe. Going from that game to then Ballpark Village to watch the Blues play your Sharks, Anthony, at 5 o'clock.
Oh, my Sharks.
And then from there, go to the Battlehawks game, their home opener. Ooh. We have that in the workings right now.
Nice.
Sounds like a long day.
It does.
It sounds like a fun day.
Is that a Saturday?
It's a Saturday, yes.
Yeah, you have a day to recoup. You're going to need it.
On Sunday?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there will not be NFL football, though. Usually, you're feeling not 100%.
Going to be right.
And then you sit right down on the couch and you got, 8 hours, 9 hours of commercial-free football. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have that.
No.
Darn it.
We'll be all right.
You'll make it.
It's a fun season. We'll be all right.
Question number 2.
From the 618, what were your thoughts on the new overtime rule? I hated that the game would have just continued if the first 15 minutes expired. Make the clock seem irrelevant and Shanahan's decision even worse.
So this was the big complaint following the Bills and Chiefs 13-second game. A game that I had no issue with. A lot of people wanted to see Josh Allen have an opportunity to respond, just like Patrick Mahomes had an opportunity to respond last night when the 49ers kicked the field goal after the first possession in OT. I didn't have an issue with the way that the Chiefs-Bills game ended because, in my opinion, you had 60 minutes. You had really 13 seconds to defend almost the entire length of the damn field, and you could not do it. I don't think you should be rewarded with another possession. So I was fine with the OT rules being what they were. You score a touchdown, game's over. You kick a field goal, you have another opportunity. But I'm not going to gripe about last night because I enjoyed knowing that even if the 49ers scored a touchdown, Mahomes was going to get a shot. So I guess I like the new rules.
I understand the reasoning behind it. You're basically telling the team, if you win a coin toss, you can win the game. With the previous rules.
But if you stop them, you hold them to a field goal.
Yeah.
But let's not pretend that defense doesn't matter.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that these overtime rules should have been explained to the 49ers. I don't know that they knew them very well.
I think they did.
I don't know.
I think Shanahan echoed it.
He'd probably. That means the team doesn't know it. If the coach don't know it, then the team doesn't know it.
Yep.
And so it was just, it's the thing about football and sports in general is you're always learning, man. And sometimes you got to lose some tough games to learn from them, and they won't make the mistake again. But I didn't have a problem with it. If you have, college football has a strange rule, right? You start at the 25-yard line, and both teams get an opportunity. If both teams score, then after a certain number of times, you got to go for two.
And all. Yeah.
And then they put it at the 1-yard line, I believe, or the 3-yard line, and now it's all 2-point conversions, and then you end up with 15 overtimes. Mm-hmm. Who the hell wants to do that?
I don't know. I could have watched more football last night.
Illinois won a 9-overtime game versus the Nittany Lions, 20-18. 9 overtimes a few years ago. How about that?
I was listening to that game. That was rough.
Come on.
They couldn't do anything offensively.
The hell?
They couldn't move the ball at all.
But I do like the college rule. I do like the 25-yard line and in. Both teams get an opportunity on offense and defense. After the second overtime, now you got to go for 2, which makes it more difficult. I don't know why. I like that. I don't like the from the 2-yard line and making it. I think that's too much. But I do like the college overtime rule.
The more we talk about this, the more I realize that I'm just an adaptable fan. Like I'm fine. I like the college overtime rules. I like that they got rid of sudden death in the NFL. Last night I thought it was great. Again, knowing in the back of my head that Patrick Mahomes was going to get a possession in OT, regardless of what the 49ers did. I like that aspect of it. So I'm good. I'm good with it.
If only they had that rule put in place February 5th of 2017.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
What happened that day?
You know what happened that time.
Oh, no. I was in Afghanistan watching that game. I was.
Were you part of the
USO tour?
Yeah.
We went, the Falcons cheerleaders weren't there. The Redskins at the time, cheerleaders, and then a couple former players.
No kidding.
Yep, pretty cool.
Wow.
Watching that.
I was in Brad Thompson's basement.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Felt bad for those
Which
guys.
team were your children rooting for that night?
So it was only Madeline. That was born, and she was, I don't know, like 6 months old. So she was sleeping. She didn't have to see Daddy spiral. But my wife did.
Crying?
Yep. Tough night, Tom Brady. To be honest, whatever version of Anthony came out of the basement that night was not the one that went down. Kind of a broken man, hardened.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Life happens.
Yeah.
Question number 3.
From the 217, what happens if Lance Lynn has a Travis Kelce-like fit with Ollie Marmol?
Oh, nothing. It's sports. People get upset.
Ollie would give it right back to him. Like, don't think that Ollie is some meager, somebody that's going to sit in the corner. Like, Ollie has got a fiery,
I agree.
disposition to him too. So I think that he would probably get in Lynn's face, or at least say, at least take it for a second, and then call him into the office or talk to him in the clubhouse. Like Carey said, this is sports.
It's sports, man.
You get fired up, you get ticked off, you got a lot on the line. Your pride, if you're struggling, You want to break a bat or do whatever. So I thought last night with the whole Travis Kelce thing, I saw it. I'm like, man, wow, he's hot. And that was it. That's all I thought about until I got in the car today and people were talking about on Sirius XM about, well, he's got anger issues. What's going to happen with Taylor Swift? I'm like, what? Oh, what are we doing here?
I'm looking forward to Lance Lynn striking out Shohei Ohtani, walking off the mound, doing the best Baker Mayfield impression. He's grabbing, in the lower region. He's like, let's go. He's done it before.
Damn.
That's Lance Lynn, baby.
That is Lance Lynn. That's what you signed him for.
That's what you signed him for.
That fire.
Is that why?
And to get innings.
And to eat innings. That's true.
Cool.
Just making sure we're on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Question number 4.
From 314, do you think Hawaii would be a fun place for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, they used to have the Pro Bowl game there. I've never been to Hawaii. I always wanted to.
I haven't either. Yeah.
I want to go. But I think it would be cool.
Oh, when the Falcons and the Steelers play each other in the Super Bowl next year, Carey, we should go.
Let's do it. I don't know. I don't think that's happening.
Man. Anthony, if you were going to Hawaii, would you stop by where they filmed Jurassic Park?
You're damn right I would.
I figured you would.
Yes. I'd act like I was getting eaten by some raptors.
With laser beams?
Yeah. Absolutely, I would. Is that it? All right, we'll break. So, Carey, you had said something earlier. You blamed a specific player for the 49ers losing that game last night, or at least on the final drive. Yeah. And I was actually pretty surprised when you said it. And I'm like, you know what? Let's revisit that. Well, let's revisit it now. What player is Carey talking about and why? I'll tell you next on 101 ESPN. If you're a homeowner, if you're somebody that remodels homes, you've probably run into this before. You run into a situation where you're doing a remodel and you've got a bunch of different things going on. You're talking to different contractors. You're talking to one person that's also talking to different, and it's an absolute mess. And the project is delayed, and you hate it, and you wish you just would have went to the right company first. That's where Mosby Building Arts comes in. They're my friends that do a fantastic job from start to finish on your project. Choosing the right remodeling company the first time around is essential for several reasons. Here's just a few of them from some real life people here. One person, the homeowner called into Mosby. They had purchased a house that the previous owner had tried to do some do-it-yourself projects the year before. They had multiple updates that were just good enough to sell. Then within the first year of being in the house, numerous issues came to light, especially in the bathroom particularly. There was a plumbing leak. The toilet ring was not installed correctly. They found out the exhaust fan didn't vent anymore. They had to tear out the wall, realize the previous homeowner had gotten no inspections, just to name a few. They called Mosby for some help, and the entire project from start to finish was done from scratch, and it was done right. You may think that you're saving money over the long haul by going kind of the inexpensive route. You're not. You're going to wind up paying either the same price or even more for shoddy work that takes longer. Call Mosby Building Arts today or go to their website, www.callmosby.com. Again, www.callmosby.com. I'll give you the number as well, 314-909-1800, 314-909-1800. Mosby Building Arts, the right remodeling company. So earlier in the show, we were talking about this Super Bowl, and Carey had said something. I'm like, "Ho, better earmark this for a little bit later on." I had the audacity to say that Nick Bosa last night had a tremendous game, and I thought he did. I thought he was outstanding. I thought the way that he kept Mahomes in the pocket, the way he was able to kind of chase him down inside the pocket once he honored his rush lane. He didn't let Mahomes escape at all. There were a couple of times I thought one time specifically that Mahomes had the what's it called? Jeez, I got the COVID brain going on. Where he threw it out of bounds the one time. Intentional grounding.
Intentional grounding.
Idiot.
Yeah.
Intentional grounding. I thought that was a Bosa play. But Carey, you had said that on at least on the final drive, you thought that Nick Bosa opened up the opportunity for the Chiefs to score.
Yeah, on those big plays, the Chiefs ran Patrick Mahomes a couple of times where he was on critical down and distances, where he was faking the handoff to Isaiah Pacheco going to his left. Mm-hmm. And faking the run and able to boot around to the right. So if you are the end man on the line of scrimmage, you have generally what they call Q, which stands for quarterback. If the running back is on your side, meaning the only thing possibly can go is run away, you have to make sure the ball is handed off because you have Q, quarterback, meaning your path, your angle should be at the quarterback and not down the line. Because when you go down the line, in which he did, I think it was 3 times, the quarterback can boot around you and get outside of you, and there's no one else outside of you. So essentially, they used Bosa's aggressiveness to try to go make that play, and Patrick Mahomes was able to get outside of him and get long runs, drive-sustaining runs, and really essentially is what caused them to score the final touchdown. It was the same motion, same play, run away from Bosa, boot outside to you. Mm-hmm. And so you on 3 different plays, you did not make the correction and go attack the quarterback. That to me is problematic because you are one of the best players on the field. You running down Isaiah Pacheco, that's everybody else is on the right side of you to make that play. And you have to make sure the ball is handed off before you start chasing him down. Sure. And he didn't do it. And so when you're watching the film and you're saying, well, why in the hell is Patrick Mahomes able to get outside? Watch Nick Bosa crash down, trying to go tackle Isaiah Pacheco, and watch Patrick Mahomes get outside of him. One time for a 20-yard run, another one for a 12, and then the last one for
the 4th down and 1.
A throw to McCole Hardman for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. It's all the same play. It's just different things going. One time they had Travis Kelce out there in the flats, which held the defender out there so he couldn't go make the tackle because he'll just dump it to him. Next time it was McCole Hardman. So when you're watching it, that's what happened. And I'm not saying that they lost because of that. There were so many other opportunities that the 49ers had to win that game. But when you watch that specific play and for it to happen 2 or 3 times, you being the all-pro defensive end that you are, you should have been able to correct that and not make that mistake 3 times,
That's
2 or 3 times.
Sensational breakdown, Carey. When you look at the Niners pass protection too, that was another thing that you had pointed out. I don't know if you saw it necessarily during the game, but I know you've been watching some clips since, throughout the course of the day today, and you saw some pass protection stuff for San Francisco that were
on their final drive. When you're 3rd and 4 down in the red zone on the 8-yard line going in
overtime.
I don't know what the hell that was. Normally they're in an empty backfield set, so you got 5 offensive linemen. Normally you go 4 down, meaning the 4 down lineman to the Mike linebacker. It's simple. And if anybody else blitzes, if they bring 6 is more than 5, which means the quarterback, that's on you, QB.
Get the ball
you got to throw the ball away. You got to throw the ball to a receiver, and the receiver has to get open. They brought 6, but I could not tell you for the life of me what this offensive line is doing on this pass protection play. You got the guard who is pulling out to the left to block a defensive end. I don't know why you don't just have the left tackle block him. You got the left tackle blocking down on a nose. I don't know why you don't have the left guard blocking him. And nobody is blocking the best player on the Chiefs defense, the right guard, right tackle, nor the center who went left, Chris Jones.
How about that D, baby?
Yeah. It's really easy to be good defensively when the offensive line has a mental breakdown in the most critical moment of the game. This is your last possession. This is the possession you had right before you kicked the field goal, which allowed Patrick Mahomes to go down there and score a touchdown and end the game, and you end up losers of the Super Bowl. I don't know what the hell this is. I maybe it's something new, but I can tell you it looks confusing as hell, not only to me, but clearly to the guys that were supposed to be doing their job.
So I want to ask you a question off of that. We do need a new Gauntlet contestant, though. So text in 314-399-9646 if you want to play Carey, me, or Marsh today. And the Gauntlet, 314-399-9646 to the Air Comfort Service text line. So you said it's confusing to me. On that play, because you and I were watching it together, you were breaking it down for me. On that play, it looks like Brock Purdy, I don't know if it actually is an option, but it looks like when Christian McCaffrey comes into motion, that Brock Purdy can hand the ball off there.
And you know what? And maybe it's a play fake, but when Nick Bolton walks down over your center, the play fake something has to change because the right guard is blocking down as well. It just was to me, it was a bad play.
If everybody is in, like you're saying with Nick Bolton, if he's in the A gap and you've got other guys, you don't know who's blitzing, but they're going to blitz. They're probably going to blitz
somebody.
They're not going to blitz on the outside. They're going to blitz either in the A gap or the B gap. So why not hand the ball off to McCaffrey in that spot? You got everybody jammed in. He's going to be able to beat. They look like they're in man-to-man because the corner started to trail McCaffrey. Hand the ball off. McCaffrey's going to beat whoever that corner is.
It might have been a play-action pass, but again, it wasn't blocked well enough up front.
Right.
And
Chris Jones
that's probably why your left tackle is blocking down and your guard is pulling around. But they didn't. The left guard, left tackle, and right guard didn't, and the right tackle didn't block anybody. You're supposed to block from the inside out, meaning you let the furthest rusher away go. If they got more than you got, we bring everybody in and let the guys on the outside because it's going to take them longer than a guy rushing the A gap or the B gap. C gap, D gap, go ahead. But we take care of the inside, the interior pressure, and make sure that nothing gets inside and let the guys outside, and they didn't do that.
And why this play was so important and why Carey's breaking it down is because that led the 49ers to the field goal. It was the 3rd and 4 play in OT. This is just one play. It had nothing to do with the fumbled punt or the missed extra point or the fumble that Christian McCaffrey had on the first drive of the Niners. But this is the one moment where if you score a touchdown, perhaps you wind up winning the game. Mahomes still going to get a shot, but it's not executed properly, and it goes into the same bucket of mistakes that everybody continues to highlight, including how Kyle Shanahan took the ball first in OT. So, CD, great breakdown there. It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. We get the Gauntlet next. I called my guy Stewie today to check in on some things, including refinance. I know that a lot of people have questions, Stewie, about when to refi. When can I refi? When's a good time? How long will it take? I know you have these answers for everybody.
Anthony, there's a big misconception out there. People that think that they have to wait a year or 6 months or 12 months to refinance. We just took an ESPN listener. They bought their house in December. They're paying over 7.5% on the interest rate. We're refinancing them for free today. You don't have to wait today, saving them $460 a month on the payment. The mortgage amount is over $200,000, no closing costs at all. They realize the gain on their first payment. They're thrilled, they're happy, but they walked around thinking we have to wait a certain amount of time to do it, and it's not true. So if you bought a house, especially in the last quarter of last year, call us. We can reduce your rate for free, You'll save money right away. And, Anthony, what happens in 6 months from now if the rates go down again?
Well, you can always call Stewie right back and refi again.
That's right. As long as it doesn't cost you money, you're ahead of the game.
There you go. But let Stewie take care of this stuff for you. There's a lot of misconceptions. So just give him a call at 314-324-4440, or you can always Google the bag loan to get the number. But it's up to you to help your situation, and Stewie will help you from there. But you have to pick up the phone to actually call or text him first. Stewie, keep up the great work.
Have a good one, Anthony.
NMLS number 226715.
Warriors, 4 categories, 1 challenger. Can you master the Gauntlet?
The Gauntlet is powered by Master, your hometown source for business communications for more than 30 years. Visit mastor.com.
Your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler, with Carey Davis and Andrew Marsh. I'm Anthony Stalter, and we welcome in Eric to the Gauntlet. What's up, Eric?
Hey, how are you guys? I'm doing very well.
Good, man. Did you enjoy the Super Bowl?
I did. I think this is the first one I watched since the Rams left, though.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
Welcome back.
I'll watch this one.
Excellent. Eric, first time in the Gauntlet?
It is.
Well, welcome aboard, my man. You probably have thought long and hard about this. Would you like to take on Andrew Marsh, Carey, or me?
I think I'm going to go with CD.
All right. CD, our leadoff hitter, oftentimes is up again. So he's going to make it. He's going to make his way into the cone of silence. Eric, as you know, you got to tell Marsh to spin that wheel.
Spin the wheel, Marshy.
Let's find out what category Eric is going to get. That's the wheel's job. Eric, what are we hoping for?
Baseball or hockey?
Baseball or hockey. Let's see if the wheel is nice today. The wheel is going to be nice today. It will be hockey.
All right.
There you go. Is hockey your number one?
Probably baseball.
Okay. All right, so Mark's going to get us the launch codes. Each question is worth 2 points. Both Eric and Carey are going to get the same 4 hockey questions today. Thank you, Marsh. Each question is worth 2 points unless Eric or Carey ask for the options, and therefore those questions are worth 1 point. Eric, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. The Blues Cup-winning team of 2018-19 featured only 3 50-point scorers during the regular season. They were Vladimir Tarasenko, Ryan O'Reilly, and who else?
Jaden Schwartz. Final answer.
Question number 2. Boston currently sits atop the Eastern Conference standings with 73 points. Name the Bruins' leading scorer who boasts 33 goals and 42 helpers through 52 games.
It has to be that Brad Marchand, right? I'll go with him.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Question 3, Eric. Bill Guerin has been named U.S. men's hockey GM for the 2026 Olympics. Guerin appeared in 61 games for the 2006-07 Blues before getting dealt to which other Western Conference team?
Oh, boy. Options.
San Jose Sharks, Dallas Stars, Edmonton Oilers.
I'm gonna go with the Sharks. Final answer.
Question number 4. Tomorrow on 101 ESPN, The Note will visit Toronto at 6 p.m. Name the Maple Leafs all-time leader in goals.
Oh, my. Options.
Options are Wendell Clark, Austin Matthews, or Mats Sundin.
Wendell Clark was my first thought, but maybe Matthews is past. Wendell Clark, final answer.
All right. We'll bring in Carey from the Cone of Silence. Eric, how you feeling?
I think I did all right. We'll see.
Eric? You're going to give the company to Eric?
Anytime we have a contestant named Eric and Marsh goes, hey, his name is Eric, I do that exact thing. Eric?
So CD is in the Cone of Silence, just hunched over like Tom Brady before he went down and scored a bunch of unanswered points to defeat Anthony's Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl. That's what Carey was doing. So he looks locked in right now. He's coming back.
There we go. He's making his way back in. That's okay. You know,
just locked in.
You were locked in, apparently.
Cone of Silence by myself.
No, you're fine. You're fine. It was only 5 or 6 minutes.
I do apologize.
We're waiting for you. All right, Carey. Are you ready?
Yep.
Marsh, tell him.
Pack a lunch.
Hockey. It's hockey
my
today.
favorite.
You love it.
Love it.
Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Question number 1. All right. The Blues cup-winning team of 2018-19 featured only 3 50-point scorers during the regular season. They were Vladimir Tarasenko, Ryan O'Reilly, and who else?
This is terrible. Give me the options.
David Perron, Braden Shen, or Jaden Schwartz?
Ooh. Let's go Jaden Schwartz. Final answer.
Question number 2. Boston currently sits atop the Eastern Conference standings with 73 points. Name the Bruins' leading scorer who boasts 33 goals and 42 helpers through 52 games.
Whoa. Give me the options.
Options are David Pastrnak, Clayton Keller, or Brad Marchand. Or Marchand, however you would like to say it.
Let's go Pastrnak. Final answer.
Question 3.
Yeah.
Bill Guerin has been named U.S. men's hockey GM for the 2026 Olympics. Guerin appeared in 61 games for the 06-07 Blues before getting dealt to which other Western Conference team?
Options.
The San Jose Sharks, the Dallas Stars, or the Edmonton Oilers?
Oh, I was going to say, okay. Let's say Oilers. Final answer. That's a yes.
Question. Could have fooled us.
Could have fooled you, Anthony. Question number 4. Tomorrow on 101 ESPN, The Note will visit Toronto at 6 p.m. Name the Maple Leafs' all-time leader in goals.
Oh, my God. Brush up on my hockey history. Give me the options, please.
Options are Wendell Clark, Austin Matthews, or Matt Sundin.
Oh. You said Wendell Clark. Is that what you said?
I did say Wendell Clark.
Okay, Matt Sundin, final answer.
Okay. Yeah, right. All right, let's go over these. Eric versus
Man, I'm
CD.
excited.
Boston currently sits atop the Eastern Conference standings with 73 points. Name the Bruins' leading scorer who boasts 33 goals and 42 helpers through 52 games. Without the options, Eric said Brad Marchand or Marchand. Carey, you said David Pastrnak. Old pasta.
I like that.
With the options. Correct answer is,
as they say in Canada, Pasta. It is David Pasternak.
Carey with a 1-0 lead. Bill Guerin has been named U.S. men's hockey GM for the 2026 Olympics. Guerin appeared in 61 games for the 06-07 Blues before getting dealt to which other Western Conference team? Eric, with the options, you went with the San Jose Sharks. Carey, with the options, you went with the Edmonton Oilers. Correct answer is?
It is Anthony's San Jose Sharks.
Not my Sharks, but 1-1 tie nonetheless. Eric ties it up. Tomorrow, right here on 101 ESPN, The Note will visit Toronto at 6 p.m. Name the Maple Leafs all-time leader in goals. Eric, with the options, you went Wendell Clark. Carey, with the options, you said Wendell Clark, did you? Matt Sundin. Yeah. So you went with Matt Sundin. Correct answer is?
It is Matt Sundin.
It is Matt Sundin. Carey with a 2-1 lead.
Right.
Over Eric.
All right.
The Blues Cup-winning team of 2018-19 featured only 3 50-point scorers during the regular season. They were Vladimir Tarasenko, Ryan O'Reilly, and who else? Carey, with the options, you said Jaden Schwartz. Eric, you also said Jaden Schwartz. But he did not use the options. So this is how it's going to work.
Terrible.
If the answer is Jaden Schwartz, no, we've got a walk off. It would be 3-3.
Oh, it's 3-3.
If it's David Perron or Braden Shen, Carey is going to win 2-1. So, Carey, this is a rare moment.
I needed to not be the answer that I chose.
You need to be wrong.
Okay. Oh, I've been wrong plenty of times. What was one more time?
Eric.
You have chosen poorly.
You lose.
Congratulations, Carey. You were wrong.
Yeah.
It is Braden Shen.
Braden Shen, 54 points, 17 goals, and 37 assists. Carey squeaks one out in hockey today over Eric, 2-1. Eric, thanks for listening. Glad you got through. Glad you played, but unfortunately, Carey got you today.
Nope, all good. It was a lot of fun.
Good job, Eric. Good job.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll see you.
I always go with the San Jose Sharks. Sharks.
They're not mine. Yeah. Never have been, never were. Couldn't name one player.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah.
Is Carlson still with them?
You're talking about currently?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Maybe that's a different story.
Martin Jones? Is old Martin Jones still with him?
Nah.
How about Jumbo Joe Thornton?
No. Doesn't even play in the league anymore.
Brent Burns.
Nope.
Okay. I think we're done here. Jamie Rivers will join us next from Toronto. We'll talk a little Blues hockey. And, we got to get his thoughts on the Super Bowl, too. That's next on 101 ESPN.
You're going to give the company to Eric?
Did you make it out to Auto Centers Nissan this weekend? No? What the hell are you doing? Get out there. They got great deals going on throughout the month of February. They've got their 30-day return promise. Within 30 days, they feel so confident that you're going to love the vehicle that they even give you a little promise. If you don't like anything about it, or you just decided, not the right color, the make, the model, I want something bigger, I want something small, great. Head out to Auto Centers Nissan. Within 30 days, they'll refund the price to you. But again, you're gonna love the experience that you're going to be taken care of. So you can start online at AutoCentersNissan.com. You can peruse the fleet that they have there. And, man, they have over 700 vehicles, new Nissans and pre-owned vehicles, not just Nissans on the pre-owned, too. They've got all different makes and models. You can start there at AutoCentersNissan.com. Check out your price points. Check out some of the deals that they have. And then go to the dealership. You'll love the dealership experience. It's one location. You don't have to drive all around to find the right car for yourself. Nope, they've got it all right there. Financing options for everyone. Good credit, bad credit, doesn't matter. They can set you up with service, too. They've got various deals when it comes to oil changes and things like that after the service. I know this because we purchased our vehicle from Auto Centers Nissan out in Herculaneum. You'll love the experience. Tell them Stalter sent you. Again, Auto Centers Nissan and AutoCentersNissan.com. It's a fast lane on 101 ESPN. The Blues get it done over the weekend, not once but twice. On Saturday, they took down the Sabres 3-1 in Buffalo, or the Buffalo Buffaloes. And then yesterday, they downed the Canadiens 7-2. They used three-goal periods in both the first and third period to take care of business there, including Alexei Toropchenko going almost the distance there by himself to score right off the bat. They look great from a scoring standpoint. Goaltending was on point over the weekend as well. Joel Hofer on Saturday, and, of course, Jordan Binnington yesterday. Blues look great right now. And joining us to chat all things Blues is our guy Jamie Rivers, who we miss. He wasn't here last week, and now the Blues being on the road, we won't have an opportunity to see Jamie for a couple of days. But, Jamie, good to hear from you, man. How are you?
I'm good, boys. How you doing?
Well, doing good after the weekend, that's for sure. The Blues get it done. Back-to-back games like we were talking about. And, Jamie, it looks like a complete effort on both sides here. I love the goaltending from in both games. The secondary scoring was on point yesterday. You're getting various contributions from guys like Alexei Toropchenko. Break it down for us, man. What are you seeing?
Yeah, so it's weird because, I think we were a little bit down after the Columbus game because you're like, okay, why would a team have that kind of an effort, going into break and whatnot? And, well, you wonder how the team's going to come out of the break. I think everybody, including myself, was kind of like, okay, you ended poorly. How do you respond? Well, whatever they did over the break re-energized this group, and they have come back with a lot of jump out there on the ice. I mean, they're snapping it around in practice, they're hooting and they're hollering, and then they have a really good game against Buffalo. Like, it wasn't perfect, don't get me wrong, but the start of the game is what you wanted. You wanted to see your team come out and have a good first period. The worst thing that could have ever happened would be to finish up the way you did against Columbus and then come back against Buffalo and have a dud of a first period. And that, at that point, that becomes like a bad juju around the team. And that didn't happen. They had a great game in Buffalo, and then they responded, with an effort that I haven't seen in a while against Montreal, where Alexei Toropchenko, he's looking like Vladimir Tarasenko in his prime out there, going between the legs and cutting in and tucking it in there like he does it every day. But that was a huge start for the Blues, too, and that's what they needed. 2 good starts in a row have energized this team. They're feeling pretty good right now.
Jamie, Jake Neighbors is tied for the team lead in goals, got 3 in the last couple of games. What are you seeing from him?
Oh, my God, what am I not seeing? I absolutely love this kid. Seriously, he's such an awesome kid. He, he goes out there, he battles every game, he finishes every hit, he blocks shots, he stands in front of the goalie, and he's being rewarded for it. We did a goal chart the other day on our broadcast, and he scored 14 of his goals in and around the blue paint. And look at what he's done the last couple of games. None of those goals are from any distance. They're all from right around the goalie. He's being smart and capitalizing upon those opportunities. But you get an all-around game with Jake Neighbors. Look at last game. You get the Gordie Howe hat trick. Get a goal, an assist, and a fight. And, he's just, for me, he's a leader on this team already. And it's not like he stands up in the room. He's not like a vocal leader like that. But what he does on the ice and how he responds to certain situations, he's a leader. He's a born leader, and I think that's awesome that he's doing that already.
Jamie Rivers joining us from Toronto here in the Fast Line on 101 at ESPN. The Blues have now won 7 of their last 8 games after winning the back-to-back games over the weekend. Jamie, we threw this out there to listeners, and we're interested in your take too. Right now, buy, sell, or hold on the trade deadline when it comes to Doug Armstrong and where his team is right now?
I think the best thing Army could do is just hold. Just stick with this group. When you go through all the different scenarios that could present themselves, and everybody always wants to have that UFA that you get rid of the contract and try to get a draft pick of some kind.
Right.
Well, this year is not like it was last year. It's just not. And, your UFAs right now are Kasperi Kapanen, Marco Scandella. I think Alexei Toropchenko could be one as well. I'd have to double-check. But you're not getting that value for it. So why not stick with the guys that have your team currently in a playoff spot? Ride it out. It's not a big deal. It's not like you're going to get a first-rounder or anything for these guys. And the team chemistry seems to be really good right now. So I don't know. I wouldn't mess with it. I don't think there's anything out there that can be had for what you're able to offer. And I hear these Pavel Buchnevich rumors going on. Why would you trade Buch? Like, why? He's a part of your team here. He's a big part of it. And if you're in a playoff spot, why would you trade a guy that maybe potentially takes you out of a playoff spot? That makes no sense to me. You know, Army's promise, we'll call it, or what he wanted was to be right back in the playoffs this year. A retool, and our goal is to be a playoff team as soon as we can be. Well, wouldn't that be counterproductive to what you're trying to do, is have a team that gels together, makes a good push, and then at the deadline you get rid of a pivotal player that plays power play, penalty kill, regular shift? I don't know. To me, that's not the message that I think Army's trying to send to this group.
Jamie, we know the Blues have 2 tough games coming up. They start off in Toronto against the Maple Leafs. This weekend, the Maple Leafs had a pretty emotional game with Morgan Riley, Ridley Gregg. They take on the Senators. They lost 5-3. That whole thing happened. Is this an opportunity for the Blues to take advantage of maybe an over-emotional Toronto Maple Leafs team?
Absolutely. Kick your opponent when they're down, man. Whoever lets it. My dad told me one time, if you let a guy up in a fight, that's your fault for getting your ass kicked after. No chance. No chance. You got a team that their number one defenseman is going to be out for an extended period of time, and you play this team twice in a very quick amount of time. Capitalize on that. They have some of the best offensive guys in the NHL, so you're going to have to be on your toes defensively. Goaltenders are going to have to be on their game as well. But that team, one of their biggest weaknesses, 2 of their weaknesses are their defense core is not what you would consider to be a cup contender defense core, even with Morgan Riley in the lineup. So now that he's out, that's obviously an advantage for the Blues, but also their goaltending is a huge question mark. So right now the Blues generating pretty good offense, in particular last game, and the power plays clicking. It's a perfect opportunity for the Blues to capitalize on this whole situation.
Jamie, Torrey Krug had 5 assists the other night. First of all, have you had a 5-assist game? And second of all, what did you think of the 5-assist game from the defenseman?
Well, to answer your question in order, I never had a 5-assist game in the NHL, that's for sure. I did have a couple of 6- and 7-point games when I played junior hockey. So that's back when I was good, Carey. It's a long time ago. But no, Torrey Krug, I thought that, look, this is a guy you paid good money to, big money, to come in and be a power play quarterback for your team, to be an offensive defenseman, to add some punch from your blue line. And Torrey Krug has taken a beating from some of the fan base because of, he makes 6.5 and, our power play hasn't been good. Well, how about we just pause for a second? Let's look at the power play right now. Since Drew Bannister's taken over, it's like 27.8%, which is a really damn good power play for that matter. And who's quarterbacking it right now? It's Torrey Krug. So the guy that you wanted to be that guy is that guy. And I like it for him. He's not always the most sound guy defensively. I get it. It's fine. But that's not why you signed him. He's a very competitive dude. He hates to lose. I mean, he absolutely hates to lose. And I like that about him a lot. And I really like the offensive game that he's able to bring to the table right now. And I love what he's doing with the power play.
Jamie, you going to hang with us for another segment?
Oh, yeah, we got to get into Chiefs Kingdom, don't we?
There we go. All right, let's do that next here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Carey, and if you're in the need for new windows, my friends at Window Nation can have you covered. They are offering 50% off of all window styles with nothing to pay, no interest for 2 full years. You know, those energy bills can get high when it starts to get cold. It may be time to replace those windows, and now is the perfect time for your family to be protected from the elements, lower your energy costs, and upgrade the look and feel of your home. Neighbors will be peering in. They will be jealous, wondering where in the world you got those windows from, and it is from Window Nation. As I said, 50% off of all window styles. You can put zero down, zero interest, and no payments for a full 24 months. And the best part about it, they can install those new windows within a day or less. Window Nation also offers a lifetime warranty on the window. Just reach out to them at 866-90-NATION or go online at windownation.com. Again, that's 50% off of all windows, no money down, no interest, and no payments for 24 months. Reach out to them today, 866-90-NATION, or go online at windownation.com and tell them Carey sent you.
ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues defeated the Buffalo Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens over the weekend. 3-1 the score against the Buffalo Sabres, 7-2 against the Montreal Canadiens. The Blues will now take on the Toronto Maple Leafs tomorrow night. Pregame starting at 5. Puck drop is at 6. We've talked Blues hockey today. If you missed any of those conversations, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free 101 mobile app. Just head to the podcast page. You'll find all of our full shows there. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. And then Super Bowl 58 goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, 25-22 over the San Francisco Giants. We'll break down what role Taylor Swift, Ice Spice, and Patrick Mahomes had last night in the Chiefs' victory with our guy, Jamie Rivers. That's coming your way next right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at Londoff.com and LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Round 2 with our guy Jamie Rivers, who joins us via the 101 ESPN Celebrity Lines. We talked about the Blues in the first segment here, but Jamie, we got to get into Chief Kingdom here. What was your number one takeaway from the Super Bowl? A lot of different angles to break down, but if you're talking about the one storyline, what was your takeaway?
Oh, for me, it's Kyle Shanahan will never win a Super Bowl.
Oh wow! Ouch.
Well, look at some of his decisions yesterday, man. I just was puzzled so much in the second half. Just like you always say, Anthony. Like Andy Reid goes into the first half. He's got his game plan, whatever. Nothing really changes very much. But then Andy Reid at halftime goes in and comes out with almost a completely different game plan that all of a sudden is successful. And I just didn't think that Kyle Shanahan adjusted at all. That defense was stellar in the first half. They did a great job of limiting all of Patrick Mahomes' opportunities and really limited the offense from the Chiefs. And overall, it's a pretty good game. I didn't like his decision to go for it the one time on fourth down, and then the next time just kick the field goal and give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. And why the hell is he receiving the kickoff in overtime?
That's egregious.
Like, what are you doing? And then finding out today from sources and reading articles that some of the players didn't even really know all the overtime rules and things like that. Like, I have a high I hold these guys in high regard. And I look at guys like Andy Reid. I look at Bill Belichick. I mean, name the best coaches in the league. I look at those guys. And I can't imagine one of those great coaches not having at least a 15-minute meeting about what the overtime is, what the strategy would be, what the benefits are to receiving the kickoff or kicking it away, like having a whole discussion about it so that if that situation presents itself, everybody's on the same page.
Right.
So that was a harsh initial thing for me to say, but I just look at the details and Andy Reid would have never had a situation where the details weren't discussed.
Yeah, that part was concerning, but I think all in all, I don't think it boils down to one thing in particular. I just think the 49ers did not capitalize on their opportunities over and over and over in that game. And when you allow Patrick Mahomes to linger and hang around, you got to understand that he's probably going to find a way to win that game, and that's what he did yesterday. The 49ers did not score enough points. Too many drives that ended in punts, and they are the team that had two special team issues, gaffes. They had the muffed punt, and then they had the blocked extra point. You're generally going to lose that game when you're playing against a team and playing against Patrick Mahomes.
No, I totally agree, Carey. I totally agree with what you're saying. And, for me, it just comes down to not executing when they needed to. And you're right. You leave the greatest quarterback in the game right now the ability to come back in the game. You let them just keep hanging around. It's like a heavyweight champion. Instead of putting them away in the first 3 rounds when you can, you let them linger to 8th and 9th round, you're in trouble at that point. And That's what I saw yesterday. And credit to the Chiefs. I give them full credit because they deserved it. But I just wasn't thrilled with the second half that the 49ers had to offer from a player's execution standpoint to some of the coaching decisions.
Jamie, we all see that dynasties, they eventually end, and a lot of times they end a lot quicker than we thought. The greatest show on turf, I think, ended a lot quicker than any Rams fan wanted to or thought. The Legion of Boom, even. But when it comes to this Chiefs dynasty, with Patrick Mahomes being 28, do you see any reason for this dynasty to end anytime soon?
You know what? I don't think it is going to die. Hearing things that Patrick Mahomes is saying now about, possibly being in discussions to restructure his contract. Like, he's starting to do Brady stuff.
Yeah.
And I think he understands that he likes winning way more than anything, and he probably has more money right now than he ever thought he could ever imagine to have ever in his life, and that he still has a ton of money coming to him no matter how much he restructures things. So I think that they're going to try and keep the band together as long as they possibly can. It's a young team overall. They've got some really talented players. They got to keep the defense together, because I think that the defense, obviously was a big part of their victory, not just yesterday, but overall throughout the season. They held that team together on a lot of Sundays. So I think that this team is lined up right. The biggest question for me is what happens with Travis Kelce? Like, this is a guy that talked about maybe retiring and not sure. And, he's obviously a big part of that offense. And if he decides that he's going to go just be a Swiftie full time, I don't know. I'm not even being mean. I'm not even being a jerk about it. I'm just saying, maybe he's tired of it and, wants to move on to something else. If he does, then the dynasty's going to be in trouble a little bit.
Well, so, and you've been traveling a lot, Jamie, so I don't expect you to pick up on every last little thing, but Andy Reid said that he hadn't really thought about it when discussing the possibility of retiring, and Travis Kelce said he's planning to return to the Chiefs in 2024. So,
okay.
As of right now, but it was a good question, because this was his worst season. Now, it was still very good, but it was his worst season. He had 984 yards. Most receivers / tight ends would love that. For him, it was his lowest. But it does sound like he's going to return. But it is amazing, guys. You look at this team that Mahomes won with. I joked about winning a game where one of your receivers went backwards 6-7 yards after he had a 7-yard gain.
Yeah, that's your boy, Anthony.
And he won, Jamie. And Mahomes won. Mahomes at one point, it didn't feel like the Chiefs could do anything. And you're into the third quarter, and then the one punt return that got hit off the foot and then fumbled, and all of a sudden the Chiefs are back in it, and Mahomes, you blink and it's 300 yards. This was the worst team, guys, that he has had of the three that has won, and yet he still finds a way to win in the end.
He continues.
How about that D, baby?
Yeah,
he
Jamie
continues to find a way to win, which is, again, it's why we don't bet against him anymore, because we assume that he's going to make something happen. I think Rashee Rice is going to be a really good football player. He played and had an excellent rookie season. I expect him to be their number one receiver next year. And he's not going to be able to take the place of Tyreek Hill, because Tyreek is a different animal in what he can do in stretching the field. But he will be their number one receiver, because he showed it this year, and he just continued to get better and better game after game. So they will be better offensively next year than they were this year. And Eric Bieniemy is looking for a job. And so I would not be surprised if he's back in Kansas City calling plays for them again, because, he has been looking for a job for a couple of weeks now. So,
hey, boys, I wanted to get your take, and Carey, especially you, on this. No offense to you, Anthony. Just you haven't been on the sidelines in the NFL as a player.
That's right.
Not yet. Anyway.
Not yet. That's time. Right. There's still time. That's right. I'm in good shape now, so we'll see.
So, what's your take on the Travis Kelce, Andy Reid? The moment there, because I have a couple of different points of views, and I'm just I'm anxious to see your take.
It didn't bother me. I mean, we talked about it earlier about the intensity that is on a football field and on the sideline. You've seen coaches punch each other. You've seen players get after coaches. You've seen teammates get after teammates. It's part of the nature and the aggression of the game. Again, I told people earlier I wouldn't suggest you do it at your office, but on a football field, I didn't have much of an issue with it because I think Travis Kelce was just fired up in that moment. I don't think he was trying to knock Andy Reid over. He just kind of bumped into him and saying, hey, get me the damn ball, or why am I over here with you, and we're turning the ball over.
Yeah, so when I looked at it, a couple things went through my head. And because obviously I've been in those situations too. I've been in heated moments with other players, teammates, coaches, this, that, the other. And I guess what I didn't like about it was I've seen those before, too, on the sidelines in the NFL. I've never seen the head coach in that moment. Mm-hmm. Like, can you imagine if Randy Moss did that to Bill Belichick? That, like, he walked over and said, I'm wide open, and chest bumped him or whatever, knocked him kind of off balance, even if they're both competitive guys and this is the way of the NFL. And I just didn't like the look of Travis Kelce in Andy Reid's face, who is a beyond respected head coach in the NFL. Like, if Travis Kelce got into Matt Nagy's face or whatever, like, you see those moments. I just thought it was really rare to see a player, no matter how good they are, what their status is, go over and physically bump into the coach, and then scream in his face. Like, I thought that was a little maybe crossing the line as far as the respect factor is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. I just didn't have much of a problem with it. Like I said, it was – I don't think it was intentional, as in he was trying to bump him and knock him over. But I think he was – sometimes you are passionate about what you're saying and you get closer than maybe you think, and you bump into a guy and you're like, oh, didn't mean to do that, but I'm here now, so the hell with it. And so, all's well that ends well. They won the game. I didn't personally think it was that big of a deal.
Yeah,
I'm sure, Jamie, you've had a coach or two you wanted to punch in the face. I'm sure, because I have.
Well, yeah. But I didn't do it in the Stanley Cup final on national TV.
It's true.
And I get it. I just look at somebody like Ken Hitchcock back in the day. Like, Hitch was famous for having FU fights with players, and Mike Keenan, same thing. I've had plenty of FU sessions with coaches, but in my head, I equated it to like me standing up on the bench in Detroit, walking down and bumping into Scotty Bowman and telling him he needs to play me more.
Right.
The hockey news wouldn't be able to find me.
Yeah, right. Jamie, I'm in line with Carey. We did have this conversation earlier. I thought at the time, I'm like, man, that got heated, and that was it. That's the last I thought about. Then I was driving in, and I was bouncing around from BK and Ferrario, and then when they went to break, I listened to some serious talk, and some of the people were talking about how this is a big time problem, and a lot of Taylor Swift fans were watching, and they saw her.
Well, that's really stretching it now. Now we're really stretching it.
You're not watching a Taylor Swift concert. You're watching football. Last year, there was a man who almost died on the field. His heart stopped because a helmet hit him just right, and he collapsed on the field. They had to stop the game. I know it's an extreme case, but you're not watching a concert here. You're not watching a documentary on Taylor Swift. You're watching a live football game. So, sorry about it. I don't think we need to go any more than that, though.
No, but that's what happens, Anthony, when you expand your fan base into a different bracket of people that aren't used to seeing things like that.
Yeah.
That it's just so foreign to them to imagine that two people or coworkers could get that heated, and they just don't understand. I call those people general population, and I don't mean like disrespectful. It's just that unless you've lived that moment, you don't necessarily understand how it's working, and that it's not this. I didn't look at it as like, oh my God, there's a problem in Chiefs Kingdom now. I just thought to myself, I think that was a little much to the head coach on the Super Bowl, like in the Super Bowl game, when you probably could have went over, had a heated exchange a little bit, and then went on about your merry way. But I certainly didn't look at it like that, or I don't view it as like this massive problem of, oh my God, my kids saw that, and
right.
No, I didn't look at it like that.
I thought it was quite the shocker, Jamie, but it's nothing that Andy Reid isn't used to. He's had emotional players before. T.O., Coach T.O., Travis Kelce, emotional player. We saw Patrick Mahomes this year. So I did not find it shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And you know what? Marshy, well said on that one, too. And, with Andy Reid, there's really no shocker involved, that's for sure.
All right, Jamie, we'll let you go, man. We'll talk to you some point tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I'll be back on with you guys from 2 to 3 tomorrow.
Beautiful. All right, we'll chat then, man.
All right, boys, take care.
You too. That's Jamie Rivers. We'll hear from him tomorrow, like you just said, as the Blues get ready to take on the Maple Leafs. So Jamie's out in Toronto tonight. We'll hear from him in the first hour of tomorrow's show. It's Fastlane on 101 at ESPN. We got some more Blues mic drops from our question of would you buy, sell, or hold at this year's deadline. Let's get to those next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, if you're a contractor or you own a business that needs recycling, you need to know more about Scrap Mart Metals. They are tailor-made for your business to meet your schedule and your target. Listen, they understand that job site cleanup for contractors is a mess. You can set up a business account with Scrap Mart Metal to recycle the metal. It's one less thing you have to do during cleanup. You'd be amazed how scrap metals add up and how it can help your business's cash flow. If you own heavy equipment, you know how frustrating and often the repairs are. So when the time comes to end your suffering, Scrap Mart Metal will get it out of your way. They'll haul your equipment to one of their locations and you will get a check the same day. Or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you can haul it yourself. They have 3 convenient locations, Valley Park, Peevely, and Jonesburg. If it's metal, they will buy it. It is recycling made easy. They will offer a convenient scale for you to drive on, and they have the highest payout, and you will always get top dollar for your scrap metals. Just go to scrapmartmetals.com. My guy Lucas can talk to you about setting up a business account. That's scrapmartmetals.com, and tell him Carey sent you.
Fastlane on 101 ESPN. So we're talking throughout the show today, obviously, about the Super Bowl, but we've been the one Blues topic that we've kind of hammered because it's interesting is what do you think what would you do if you're the Blues at the trade deadline? Would you buy, sell, hold? What's your thought process as the Blues continue to win? But they also might not have a lot of flexibility when it comes to their salary or their roster. So we asked for your mic drops, played a couple early on. Why don't we hear from Paul next on whether or not he would buy, sell, or hold?
You're going to have to hold. They don't have any cap space, for one. For two, who are you going to trade, and is it going to mess up the locker room and all that? You've got a good thing going right now. What are you, won 7 out of 8 or something like that? 5 in a row on the road. I think you hold and make it to the playoffs and see what happens.
So Paul's kind of in line, Carey, with you and I, in that if you look at this team, you like certain. First of all, you understand that this is not one of the best teams in the conference. This is not one of the best teams in the league. This team is trying to compete for the second wild card. Hold on to it now that you reclaimed it. Hold on to it. Just get in after making the playoffs last year.
How you coming around?
On the Blues, yes, on that regard. Just get in, and then you can go from there. But to make a whole bunch of moves, one, I don't think is realistic because of the cap situation, like Paul was talking about. And if you make some hockey moves, quote unquote, with one player going one way, one or the other, are you really going to get something that is worth shaking up the apple cart?
Well, Anthony, what are we talking about? Not one of the best teams in the NHL. Are they not winners of 7 of their last 8? What are you talking about, huh? You had the one mishap with Columbus. It was the end of the first half of the season before the All-Star break. Most of those guys mentally had checked out, and they only lost 1-0. So clearly, they were preparing themselves for the All-Star break, get away with their family, and look how they've come back smoking. That kid, Jake Neighbors, is going to be a star, I tell you. He's going to be one of one. He's going to be a special. Torrey Krug, 5 assists. Who else? What other defensemen in the league are getting 5 assists in a night? Not many. You don't even have to do numbers. Don't worry about it. I just tell you, watching this Blues team gives me, you said it earlier, and maybe you should put these on because you said it. 2019 is what you told us and the listeners earlier. This team gives you the vibes, the feels. So, of course, you stand pat at the trade deadline. You don't trade any. You don't break up this crew. How many games, Anthony? Winners. How dare you say not one of the top teams in the NHL? Have you watched them?
Yeah, no, you're right, Carey. And your glasses. They have nothing to do with the Blues. I feel you.
Blues glasses.
Yeah, just to clarify, for those that weren't listening, I didn't compare this team to the 2019 version. I said it feels like the same trade deadline approach.
Wasn't it Ed, Marsh?
It was Ed.
I heard.
You and Ed.
Yeah, Anthony and
said
Ed.
It.
I mean, we should get ready. We should start planning for June, mid-June. Block the streets off, parade.
Anthony Stalter, 101 ESPN says it. So it must be true.
I think I wrote it down at what was it? 2:23
It was actually
3:23.
You wrote it down at the wrong time, but it's okay.
You wrote it down at 2:30, and then you said, "Wait, no, it's 2:33." And Carey and I finally had to tell you it was 3:33.
I needed a time check.
Yeah, you did.
Clarkson Jewelers.
You needed it. Is right. All right, let's hear from Janet next. Buy, sell, hold. Blues deadline.
I'd hold as well because just changing the supporting cast isn't going to do too much when all those big contracts are out there. They can't get past them unless they would trade off the stars, and I don't see them doing that. They're going to hold on to Thomas, they're going to hold on to Parayko, and they're going to hold on to Kyrou. So changing the supporting cast isn't going to change anything. So you might as well just hold.
There you go. So wait, this is kind of overwhelmingly consistent here that we're getting.
I agree. And I think, if this team is, we gave you kind of the breakdown for what this team should be in 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're playing really well. Maybe they make a push for the playoffs and they stay there and they get an opportunity. But I don't know, and I know you may disagree, but I don't know if this is a Stanley Cup team this year. I think that they are young enough, as well as have veteran players that eventually, when Snuggerud gets here, if Jake Neighbors continues to ascend in the manner in which we talk about Matthew Kessel, Perunovic. You got a lot of young guys, and then you got some veteran guys that it could be a really good team. And I think this can be kind of you could put a pin in this season and say this is when it turned. Mm-hmm. You look at what last season was when it was chaotic, in my opinion. Even the beginning of this year, it felt like there was some lingering effects of last season, and they were just kind of going through the motions to start the year off. And you unfortunately had to fire a head coach because of it. But now they seem to all understand we actually are pretty good if we do what we're supposed to do. If we lock in and do our job every single night, we can be a really good team. Maybe not talented enough to play with some of the upper echelon teams in a 7-game series, but work your way to being that and become a couple of superstars, have a couple of superstars. Robert Thomas is probably ascending into that realm as well. So I think they are on the rise. If they were a stock, you should buy the Blues right now.
Blues are in Toronto tomorrow night to take on the Maple Leafs. Pregame starting at 5 o'clock, so we're a little early off time tomorrow. Blues, Maple Leafs pregame 5 o'clock. It's Fastlane on 101 at ESPN. If you really boil things down to just one factor last night in the Super Bowl, it is pretty clear what happened. We'll talk about it and also talk about whether or not we're going to continue to see it happen. That's next on 101 ESPN. You can bet the NBA with a no-sweat same-game parlay from FanDuel every Thursday with TNT Thursdays. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. You'll get bonus bets back if your same-game parlay doesn't win on any NBA on TNT game. NBA same-game parlays, Carey, well, they're the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance to score a bigger payday.
Yeah, Anthony, however you want to play, just head to FanDuel.com/fast to bet on the NBA with a no-sweat same-game parlay with TNT Thursdays. That's FanDuel.com/fast. Anthony, the Boston Celtics, they're a really good team. They've been playing well. Winners of 8 of their last 10. You got to like them. Minnesota Timberwolves, surprisingly, the top seed in the West. And those LA Clippers with all of those future Hall of Famers, they're balling. So if you want to bet on FanDuel, go to FanDuel.com/fast. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Must be 21 and older or older and present in Illinois. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Refund issues non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 9:02, your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. We started today's show talking about the one thing, the one storyline that you took away from last night's Super Bowl. Was it Kyle Shanahan's decision in overtime, or just Shanahan becoming the new version of Andy Reid, by the way? When Jamie said that earlier about how Kyle and he was...
It hit.
He was saying it based on not only what we saw, but also, how he feels. Yep. Kyle Shanahan will never win a Super Bowl. That was like his big takeaway. A lot of people thought
to Patrick Mahomes at quarterback.
A lot of people thought that about Andy Reid.
Yeah.
So to the comment that you just made, you think about Andy Reid making it to 4 straight NFC Championship games. He went to 1 Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. They lost it to the Patriots, and that Super Bowl was marked by some horrendous clock management by Andy Reid, who has been criticized for that very thing for a long time. A lot of success for Andy Reid during the regular season. They won a ton before Mahomes in Kansas City. But it took Mahomes to have Andy Reid go from, man, that dude is really good, but to, yep, he's the second greatest head coach now in the 21st century.
Well, if I remember that Super Bowl with the Patriots versus the Eagles, that's the one where T.O. was upset with Donovan McNabb for throwing up or not being in the best condition to finish that game. So maybe that had something to do with the time and clock management. I mean, we harp on Bill Belichick and his record without Tom Brady. I would say any coach that doesn't have an elite/Hall of Fame quarterback, with the exception of maybe Brad Johnson with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the
Don Shula never had an elite
and who was the Ravens quarterback? That Trent Dilfer when they won their Super Bowl. Other than that, and those teams only won one in that time frame. When you're winning multiple Super Bowls, you usually have an elite/Hall of Fame quarterback. Peyton Manning went to a couple of Super Bowls, won. Eli Manning won a couple of Super Bowls, future Hall of Famer. Ben Roethlisberger won a couple of Super Bowls. Joe Montana, John Elway. Like, we put so much onus on the coach, but they have to be married with a future Hall of Fame caliber quarterback, especially if you want to have sustained success. And Andy Reid has done that. He's had sustained success. He's been to this. He's won his 3rd Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs because he's got one of the greatest people and players to ever do it. Can Brock Purdy become that? I don't know. You probably hit the nail on the head when we got into the office today. You said, Brock Purdy was fine. He didn't win nor lose them that game. Patrick Mahomes won them that game. Joe Montana wins you that game. Tom Brady wins you that game. That's the difference. And so we can harp on Kyle Shanahan as much as we want. The 28-3 loss, he's not the head coach. Don't put all of that on him. Probably should have done something a little different, but hindsight is 20/20. You lose 2 times in the Super Bowl to one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever live as a head coach. Sometimes, there are Karl Malones. There are Patrick Ewings.
There are Charles Barkleys.
Right. And those guys are great in their own regard, but they were not Michael Jordan.
No. But we talked in the office when I was bringing up all the games that I was watching, how there are certain plays within some of these great Super Bowl games that we don't think of that could have easily turned the game around. We talk about the Eli Manning pass to David Tyree.
Yeah.
Like 2 plays or a play before that, he almost threw an interception to, who was it, Asante Samuel. Went right through his hands. Same thing with the Patriots and Falcons game. Drop ball right in front, and then it bounces right into the hands of Julian Edelman. It's just little things like that that turn history, which if things go the other way, Kyle Shanahan, maybe he's a 3-time Super Bowl winner if they don't blow the other Super Bowl against the Chiefs.
Right. Yeah, Kyle Shanahan's not a Super Bowl winner because he didn't have Tom Brady and didn't have Patrick Mahomes in those games. That's the bottom line.
It really is life.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
Tom Brady was on the other side when he was the OC for Atlanta, and Patrick Mahomes was on the other side for the two times that he's got to the Super Bowl with San Francisco. That's the difference. That is the difference. But Marsh, I think you bring up a really good point. we don't think about the little moments that happen during the game. Mm-hmm. We only remember the result. And I'm speaking for myself too. Marsh, I can believe forgot about the Asante Samuel dropped interception in that game. Mm-hmm. I know that Robert Alford should have had 2 interceptions, might have been Super Bowl MVP had he picked off Tom Brady when he was in perfect. Yep. He was in perfect position. He got his head around. Everything was perfect, but ball was on him. Ball goes off his hands, mm-hmm. and Edelman it magically hangs up. David Copperfield got involved in that one.
And kept it off the ground.
And so instead of Patriots with 2 timeouts, right around the 2-minute warning, Atlanta ball at midfield, it's Julian Edelman coming up with that catch, and we talk about the greatness of Tom Brady. You have to be perfect to beat Mahomes. You have to be perfect to beat Brady. Look at last night. San Francisco's defense played its ass off for 2.5 quarters. Intercepted him. The Chiefs had everything set up. They started to get it rolling a little bit. They got the field goal right before half. They had the middle 8 right out in front of them. Middle 8. Final 4 minutes of the first quarter of the second quarter. First 4 minutes of the third quarter. The reason why that's so important is because you have a halftime. Especially when Usher's out there doing his thing for 42 minutes. You have a long time in between. That's a long time for Kyle Shanahan and his offense to sit on the sidelines. Real time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mahomes comes out, throws a pick.
And you get the ball back.
You do nothing with it. You have got to be perfect to beat Mahomes and to beat Brady because they're the best. They're the greatest.
You just have to capitalize. There were too many opportunities for the 49ers, and I was sitting there with a group of people, and I said, if they don't score, this is not good for them. The Chiefs will win this game because if you cannot put the ball in the end zone with as many opportunities as you have had, the Kansas City Chiefs had nothing going until that muffed punt. And then they got their first touchdown. All it takes is one thing when you're playing a champion. You do have to be perfect, but you have to take care of the football, and you have to put the ball in the end zone. Field goals versus elite teams and elite quarterbacks will not win you a game. It just won't. You have to score touchdowns. And they didn't do enough of it yesterday.
And going back to the halftime situation, I mean, that was 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes into the second half where he throws that pick. They don't respond. It reminded me of, I believe it was Super Bowl 45. Maybe that's not the right number, but Saints-Colts. Mm-hmm. The Colts are getting the ball back in the second half. The Saints decide, we're not really
in. It was 42 or 41.
Was it 42?
That was
I can't remember
us.
which one it was.
Yeah.
But,
it was after us.
It was after you guys.
44.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So they go out there, they kick the onside kick, and now Peyton Manning is not taking snaps for almost an hour, it felt like. And that changed the entire complexity of that game because the Saints offense was not good. I believe they only had 6 points heading into the second half. Mm-hmm. It's little plays like that turn the tide of these big games.
Definitely. It's it also leads you to the question of, will this change? Who's going to beat Mahomes? Joe Burrow did it once. He almost did it twice. So you have to at least count him. Josh Allen has not beat him at that stage. Josh Allen had him in Buffalo this year. Buffalo, small favorite. Could not do it. Lamar, 2-time MVP. Had him at the bank. Point spread go from 2.5, and I'm only bringing this up just because to lay it out there that the Chiefs are underdogs. This was perhaps the time to beat him. Mahomes goes into the bank, doesn't score a point in the second half, still wins against Lamar and company. Then San Francisco, again, second shot for Kyle Shanahan. Have them on the ropes, kind of. They have to be perfect. They're not. They lose. Who's going to beat this guy?
It would have to be, Joe Burrow has done it already. So I think a healthy Joe Burrow and that crew, if they're able to get themselves back together, I still like Lamar Jackson. I still like what he was able to do. I think another year, that team was just in awe of the moment. But I am certain they will not be in awe of it if they get there again. They were so busy trying to bully Patrick Mahomes, not understanding he's not fazed by that.
Yeah.
That does not bother him. He is a great quarterback, both mentally and physically, and that didn't bother him. All you were doing was getting yourself out of the game by trying to hit him and rough him up. He's playing football. He's going to do what he does. Baltimore, in my opinion, has a really good chance. And Cincinnati. Those are the only two teams. I ain't seen nothing from the Jets because of my guy, Aaron Rodgers, being hurt. So Really, those are the only two teams that I could say.
I'll throw another team in here. Might not be next year, could be in the future, but I like what I saw from the Houston Texans and C.J. Stroud and what he can do.
He got so far to go, though.
Yeah. Right. I don't think it would happen next year, but I think he profiles as a player that could really keep up with Patrick Mahomes, the way he plays, the way he can freestyle things. And if they start to build that team to be better than what they were this year, which was still a pretty good team, they're a playoff team, won a playoff game, I think maybe it's his time to try and upset Patrick Mahomes because none of these other quarterbacks have.
It's funny that he says C.J. Stroud. It's amazing how the narrative has shifted off of Trevor Lawrence, another quarterback in that division.
Yep.
You don't even think about him right now.
No,
because he's really good.
He's
but
talented. But
C.J. Stroud is probably the next one on deck coming up.
Because Trevor Lawrence, though, he didn't do it last year.
Yeah,
right. And they didn't even do it when what's his name went in. The backup quarterback.
Chad Henne.
They couldn't even beat him with Chad Henne.
Right.
Chad Henne.
Or Mahomes on
like
one
bad
leg.
ankle. It's like Kirk Gibson.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. Let's go.
Well, and Justin Herbert, there have been times where the Chargers, Herbert's kind of matched wits with Mahomes a little bit, but
he's not big in the final 2 minutes of a game.
He's not Mahomes.
Yeah, it's terrible.
That's the point.
He got an adult in the room now.
That's fair.
Yeah, he does. Right. He's gonna have. They're gonna win. Chargers gonna win more games just by virtue of Brandon Staley not being there and Jim Harbaugh knowing what he's doing. So, yeah, it's fascinating. Brady was the only guy to beat Mahomes. Brady and Burrow, excuse me, right? Because Brady beat him in the AFC title game and he beat him in the Super Bowl. AFC title game with the Patriots, Super Bowl with the Bucs. And Burrow. That's it. That's those are the only two quarterbacks to oppose Mahomes and win a playoff game. Otherwise, he's 15-3 in the playoffs, including the Super Bowls.
Pretty amazing.
He's disgusting. He's disgustingly good.
Yeah.
So
don't bet against them.
They're going to win next year.
I don't know. I think it might be 17-4.
Let's do Super Bowl picks right now. Carey,
let's do it. Let's do it.
Patrick Mahomes
I got the
versus
Chiefs.
everybody.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs to win it all.
Well, the colors are red and gold.
Next year, the Super Bowl logo already come out.
You got the Chiefs and Niners.
I just made that. Yeah, I was thinking the Chiefs.
Red and gold.
I think it's red and gold. I thought I saw that.
Gosh!
I was thinking the Chiefs and the Saints.
You know what I'm thinking? This little guy right here, he's got gold hair.
Skull? Yeah,
you got gold hair. Skull gold, baby.
Oh, man.
It's the Vikings. And Kirk Cousins or Jameis Winston go into New Orleans and defeat the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be a remarkable day. On Madden 25.
I'd like to see your optimism at an all-time high, Marsh. Are we sure you need a QB on a rookie deal to win the Super Bowl? I've often talked about how that is a massive advantage for, really in all of sports. Yet if you look back at the recent history, it might not necessarily be the case. It's next on 101 ESPN. Do you have to have a quarterback on a rookie contract to win the Super Bowl? Well, if the recent history is any indication, not necessarily. Marsh, you were doing the figures on this.
Yes.
And I think you look back at the last 10 Super Bowls.
Yeah, so like the last 10 Super Bowls, 9 of those Super Bowl winning quarterbacks have not been on a rookie deal. And I believe the one that did win was Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes, yeah. I would say that, one, experience matters. So like Matthew Stafford was one of those quarterbacks. He was not on a rookie deal.
No.
Rams acquired him. He fit perfectly with Sean McVay. McVay knew he needed somebody to elevate the offense outside of Jared Goff, or in a way that Jared Goff couldn't. So Stafford, even though he hadn't won before, number 1 overall pick for a reason. Somebody that put up a bunch of numbers in Detroit, just didn't have the team around him. Okay. The rest of them, Mahomes was 3 of those guys. How many did Brady win in the last 10 years? He had the Bucs win. That would include the Falcons victory, right?
4 in the last 10 years.
4 in the last 10 years. So Brady was 4 of those. Mahomes was 3 of those. Then you had Stafford,
Nick Foles,
and
Tricky Nicky,
Peyton Manning,
and Peyton Manning at the end of his career.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about the best.
Exactly. And Nick Foles is one of those guys.
And Nick Foles is one of those guys.
Believe it.
Nick Foles in 2 games that year.
Yeah, Carson Wentz was
incredible.
He was actually on his way to being MVP.
Yeah, he was. Carson Wentz was having a great year.
Terrible.
Boy, he dove into that end zone out in L.A.
I remember.
Tore up his knee. That was it. That was his career.
That was it.
As we look back.
I agree.
I still think it's a massive benefit.
Was Russell on a rookie contract when they won?
Yes.
I thought so.
Yeah.
The one they won, not the one they lost, clearly.
When they started paying those guys is how the Legion of Boom dynasty fell apart.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that apparently Russ just did Arizona Diamondback to his teammates.
I think he actually was drafted by a different baseball team, Anthony.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
That's my fault.
But he's definitely
definitely a Diamondback.
Yeah, I wasn't really referring to the baseball team. Yeah, I was referring to something else there, Marsh.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but unless you have the elite of the elite, I still think having a quarterback on a rookie deal is massively beneficial. Look at Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
It helps. It helps because you're allowed. So I think it's a gift and a curse, because if you're a rookie or a younger player, you clearly haven't seen all of the things that Patrick Mahomes has seen in his 7-year career, or all of the things that Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or any of those guys have seen. It helps build the team around you, but at some point, you're going to have to pay that quarterback and then be creative with ways of trying to find a rookie receiver like Rashee Rice who you can implement in and say, hey, you're taking the place of Tyreek Hill. All right, sign me up, coach. You have to be able to draft well. You have to be able to do well in free agency and find ways to make your team better once you do pay the quarterback, because it does. When you pay that quarterback, guys, there's just not enough money left. There's a salary cap in football. You only have X amount of dollars to spread across an entire team, which means some of those better players who know they deserve more are probably going to go elsewhere and get more unless they're willing to take less for the opportunity to win a championship.
What the scary part is, too, with Kansas City, so they're paying Mahomes, right? So they're paying him all this money. Kelce's really on a favorable deal. They're paying Chris Jones. That defense is was the youngest defense, or one of the youngest defenses in the league, correct? Mm-hmm. From an age, like a roster age standpoint, coming into the year, one of the youngest defenses in the league.
How about that D, baby?
They ain't going anywhere. Kansas City Chiefs aren't going anywhere. So not only are they paying the guy, they nailed the draft so much that they built an entire defense because of it. And like you said, Carey, they can go into you can find you don't have to have a top 10 pick to land a receiver.
Yeah.
Look at this team. Rashee Rice is not a first rounder.
Right.
Would they take him second round?
Was he a first rounder or a second rounder?
I don't think he was a first round pick. I could be wrong on that.
He was a second.
I thought he was a second round pick.
Second round.
Year.
Yep, he was second rounder.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the core for the receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs for 2024. Right now, they will be making $26 million as a group.
The wide receivers?
The wide receiver group. Tyreek is making what? 28, 30? by himself.
I'm just looking at this now. Look at these. Okay, so let's just look at the wide receiver position, okay? Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. Good. Mm-hmm. You have Lockett and you have DK Metcalf. What the hell are you doing? Then you move on.
Getting gooder.
Quentin Johnston. Oh, God. Quentin Johnston.
To go with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen.
Yeah, nice work there. How'd you do?
How'd
you do?
They dropped the ball, Anthony, on that one.
He did.
Zay Flowers, no issues there.
They drafted Rashad Bateman, who hasn't come around. What's wrong with Zay Flowers?
He had a rough AFC Championship game, as well as a great AFC Championship game.
He just made a rookie mistake diving.
Well, I was talking off the field. I think there's some stuff going on.
Really?
With him,
I didn't see that.
Jordan Addison, no pushback there, but okay.
He's a solid wide receiver.
But those are the first-round picks. Jonathan Mingo, the Panthers, moving through the second round. Jaden Reed for the Packers, very, very good year, but he's one of many. And then Rashee Rice. You don't need to draft a receiver up high in order to improve your wide receiver core. The Chiefs can now focus in on improving from Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Kadarius Toney. They can look in the late first round or late second round and find somebody to pair up with Rice if they choose to. Otherwise, they can continue to draft O-linemen and go from they are set. This dynasty is they will continue to add. They will challenge what the Patriots did.
I think the rookie deal thing with the past 10 years, when we look at the Super Bowl matchups, I think the rookie deal quarterback is good enough to get your team to the Super Bowl, but why do they, at least in the past 10 years, why do they lose? Because the team they're going up against, that guy has had plenty of experience for the most part, other than Nick Foles, in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the reason why Pat Mahomes beat the 49ers the first time was he went up against Jimmy G. Jimmy G, that was his first year a full season of being a starter. Mm-hmm. Played 16 games. All the other years, he was not the starter. He was not the dude.
Right.
I mean, he did start some games, but didn't have a full year. So he was also, in that aspect, not a veteran when it comes to playoff experience.
Sure.
So I think a team with a rookie deal, with a quarterback on a rookie deal, they're good enough to get to the Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, you want that veteran quarterback. And I think you would trade off having that rookie QB with the veteran QB and just try and mix in pieces around him.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what the Chiefs are doing right now.
You've got the ultimate cheat code in Mahomes. You know you're going to start off, if you're playing a video game that's 20 levels, you're going to start at least on level 10 because you have Mahomes, and then you could go from there. And everybody else, or mostly everybody else, is going to start from level 0. And you're trying to build it each and every year. You get the ultimate cheat code.
For me, because Patrick Mahomes, it's about scouting and drafting and knowing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Because there are a lot of people and a lot of teams that are clueless, because there were teams that could have had Patrick Mahomes.
9 of them.
The Chicago Bears being one of them.
Well, I get Mitchie football, though.
Does he just got released. Well, they parted ways with the Steelers.
Mm-hmm. Is Patrick Mahomes who he is right now if he is on a different team, especially the Bears?
Without Andy Reid? No. We'd be talking about him like we're talking about Justin Herbert.
Fields. Oh, I was going to say Justin Fields.
Oh, no, I'm talking about quarterbacks.
Oh, come on. Come on. He plays quarterback? What are we doing here?
Yeah, he plays quarterback, all right. He's got the Q and the B next to his name, but not the same thing. No, we'd be talking about him like Herbert.
Yeah.
Like Herbert, if Herbert just gets a guy, if Herbert just gets his coach, I think we'd be doing the same thing. He'd still be Mahomes. Like I still think Justin Herbert's great, but great in the terms of, I think the potential is there. I think he's got all the talent in the world to do it, but
we're not talking about Brady conversations.
No.
But now that's the conversation.
Right.
Once Andy Reid retires, could Patrick Mahomes do it without Andy Reid?
Brady and Belichick. No, you're probably right. Brady and Belichick did it together. Reid and Mahomes are doing it together. Mm-hmm. Reid, you can't just say, well, he only had Mahomes. Like Carey was saying earlier, Bill Walsh, the greatest head coach ever, had Joe Montana. He found him in the third round, developed him into what Joe Montana became. Andy Reid knew hey, this guy's special. We got to go up and get him. And they did. And it turned everything. Bill Belichick had Brady. Brady had Belichick. No, I don't think we're talking about Mahomes having 3 Super Bowls if he's just a Chicago Bear.
No.
There's no way. We're talking about, again, just well, you got to find the right guy. Pair up with him. All right, biggest question of the day next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues will be back in action tomorrow night, taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. With the pregame starting at 5, puck drop is at 6. They'll look to continue their winning ways as they defeated the Buffalo Sabres over the weekend 3-1, and also the Montreal Canadiens 7-2. Once again, Blues Maple Leafs pregame at 5 tomorrow. Puck drop is at 6. And then last night, Super Bowl 58, the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the San Francisco 49ers 25-22. We've talked Super Bowl all day long. If you missed anything from today's show, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free 101 mobile app. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. We have our biggest question of the day coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's time for the Fast Lane's biggest question of the day.
It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Time for the biggest question of the day. Carey Davis, Anthony Stalter, Andrew Marsh.
All right, earlier we were talking about which quarterback could take down Patrick Mahomes. Like, who could be that next guy? We brought up
Taylor
Joe Burrow,
Heineke.
Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
We brought up a few different names. Looking back at the Patriots dynasty, they had a decent amount of time go by before Tom Brady won Super Bowls 4, 5, and 6 with New England.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at that era and we compare it to today's era, because that's the question, Mahomes and Brady, what quarterbacks from this era profile as some of the quarterbacks back in the mid-2000s, 2010s in that era?
Like the comparables?
Who are the comparables?
I think Patrick Mahomes, obviously he's had way more success from a Super Bowl standpoint, playoff standpoint, but Mahomes is Favre. Favre was that reckless gunslinger. Favre just never turned it into somebody that we saw Mahomes be last night, which is somebody that can manage a game until the game opens up and he can take over.
So Mahomes is not Brady? I'm not talking about from a skill set
standpoint. Oh, you're not talking about stylistically?
No, I'm talking about their roles.
Okay.
As it pertains to Patrick Mahomes and trying to beat the Chiefs.
Okay.
So Joe Burrow, maybe he is
Drew Brees.
Or who's Big Ben? Like, who would be Big Ben? Josh Allen?
Josh Allen.
Without the 2 rings.
Yeah.
That kind of stylistically end. I mean, the guys that you're looking for are Allen, Lamar, Joe Burrow. I'll throw Justin Herbert in there because I'm a huge fan.
I'm thinking of AFC teams too, NFC teams.
Tony Romo is Dak Prescott. Prescott is Tony Romo.
Yeah, probably. Yep.
But Burrow reminds me of, to me, he'd be the Peyton Manning, right? Sometimes beats.
You got to win. Peyton Manning,
he never did
slander
though.
On Peyton
it took him
Manning
a while.
He was in the
stresses me out.
He was in his 30s.
Is the best quarterback to ever play the game.
Not
5-time MVP.
Not named Tom Brady and not named Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Carey, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked going back and watching the Super Bowl when they played the Bears. I'm shocked that Dome team won that game.
It was sloppy.
Because that was a rainy night.
If Rex Grossman wasn't on the other side, Bears win.
Rex Grossman,
that defense was legit.
Was on roller skates like Usher was last night.
Yeah, he was. And he wasn't he wasn't confessing.
No, he wasn't. And he didn't have Lil Jon.
He didn't have
Ludacris.
That wasn't good.
That Bears defense in 06 was outstanding.
That was Urlacher and
That was
Briggs
Urlacher, Lance Briggs.
What was the safety? Michael Brown.
They had Peanut Tillman, Mike Brown.
Mike Brown, safety. They were. And the defensive ends.
Gunlier was one of them.
what's the other guy's name from Oklahoma? Tommy
Harris.
Tommy Harris.
That defense for the Bears in 2006
they were
was
trouble.
very good. Now I'm just interested in this. All right, hold on here. I gotta see the old depth chart. See if we were right. Wasn't Agunlier on that team?
Let's see.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Agunlier, Harris, Anthony Adams, Alex Brown were the
Alex
defensive
Brown
linemen.
is the other one. Yeah, that was the
Hunter Hillenmeyer, Nick Roach, Lance Briggs. So it wasn't Urlacher.
Urlacher was there.
I'm looking at it now.
In 06?
Hillenmeyer, Roach, Briggs.
In 06? Urlacher was
definitely there?
Yeah. I'm looking at the Pro Football Reference. He had... how many tackles did he have? He had 142
I don't know
tackles.
why he's not on this depth chart here. This is 09. That's probably why. A 6 upside down is a 9, Carey.
Tommy Harris. Yeah.
Let's see here. Bears.
Daniel Manning was the safety, was the other safety.
Daniel Manning, yeah.
Peanut Tillman. Alex Brown. They were a good team.
They were really good. Todd Johnson.
And you had Devin Hester returning kicks. Don't kick it to Devin.
Man, he was awesome.
He was.
All right. Anyways, if the Bears, if they don't have Rex Grossman, Peyton probably loses that one too, because he did not play well.
No,
that offense stunk.
And I'm not even sure if he really played all that well in that Broncos win over Carolina.
No, he didn't.
He was done.
His arm could not throw it past 25, 30 yards.
His last season where he was remarkable was the year that they got dragged under the bus repeatedly by the Seahawks.
Yeah.
That was the last year where Peyton was like
great.
Peyton was Peyton.
Yeah.
That year that they benched him for Osweiler.
Yeah.
And then eventually went back to Peyton, and Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware put on a show in the playoffs. They crushed Brady in the title game, and then got to Cam Newton and the Panthers in the Super Bowl.
So we're looking at Peyton Manning potentially being 0-4.
Yes.
In a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Nah. Despite what Carey leads you to believe, Peyton Manning, one of the best to ever do it in the regular season. No doubt. But
2-time Super Bowl champ.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that darn Tom Brady.
Who is the next guy?
For you meddling kids.
and your
dumb dog.
And your dog. And your dog, too. I would have gotten away with it.
So, I know we talked about earlier, but who does profile is that next guy to take down Mahomes?
That we haven't seen before? Like we haven't talked about, like Burrow?
Is it Burrow?
I think it's
again?
Burrow. I think you have to be a killer.
Yeah.
I think you have to be a stone cold killer if you're going to beat Mahomes, if you're going to beat Brady. Joe Burrow has that Joe Montana cool aspect of him where the moment is never going to be too big. He's got the swagger. He's got the skill set. Burrow's the dude. Burrow elevates.
And he's probably got the best offensive talent around him.
Certainly with Jamar Chase.
Joe Mixon.
We'll see what happens with T. Higgins.
Yeah, we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah.
But
you can get second receivers. You can get running backs. Like
Patrick Mahomes is a stone cold killer. He does not. It's so fun to watch too.
You know who he was last night, Carey? I'm interested if you agree because I know you're a boxing fan too. You know who he was? He was Floyd Mayweather last night.
Just unbothered.
He was just like we can dance as long. You haven't made your mistake yet.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the 49ers made their mistake, uppercut.
Yep.
Now they're back. Now they're back on their. And then Mahomes went to work.
Yeah.
He waited. I know he didn't do this consciously, but you watch that game unfold and it's like, I'm not going to make the mistake. I made one mistake. You're not going to get another. I'll wait. My defense is good enough to keep. We're good. And then all of a sudden you blink, and the dude won his third Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's Floyd, man. He was Floyd last night. He's been Tyson in other games.
Isn't it amazing how there's only 32 starting quarterback jobs in the NFL? Half the league are so bad that they can't even make the playoffs, and some of the other guys who are the elite of the elite still can't beat this dude.
No, that's a fact. And they never will.
That team.
Chiefs, Super Bowl next year.
Can we get the song?
Red Kingdom.
So you're on the bandwagon for a full year now until they
Are
lose.
you now? Have you,
Anthony? I have that jacket
your
over there.
Falcons allegiance, and are you now a Kansas City Chiefs? It now is the best time to do it. Let's not wait until 2 weeks before the Super Bowl when they are already in the Super Bowl.
If you missed
Some
it,
folks may kind of view that as bandwagon jumping. So let's make a decision now.
If you missed it earlier, I officially thanked Chief Kingdom for allowing me to be dragged by the bandwagon. They never accepted me. They never said, "Hey, brother, come to welcome. Here's a seat. It's crowded right now, but we got a seat for you." They dragged me. They dragged me behind.
They said
the
can't
bandwagon.
Sit here.
Yep. They wrapped chains
Not on
around
this bandwagon
around my ankles, and I was dragging there 2 weeks just like this,
along with them.
But you know what? I loved every second of last night watching the Chiefs as a not so honorary fan, and I thank you, Chief Kingdom, for allowing me to be dragged behind on your bandwagon. I will leave now. I got the keys.
So you were just there for a championship, basically what you're saying.
What I wanted to do, I wanted to experience something I'll never experience as a Falcons fan.
You all have a great head coach now. You're going to be.
Yeah, they got the greatest of all time. They got Belichick, and he They didn't. Well, what was amazing, he didn't ask for total control.
They said, "Hey, he's not actually there."
What do you mean?
They didn't sign.
He's not their head coach.
He is.
Well, the Falcons are only. Well, of course he is. He's the only team that they interviewed with. Was Anthony.
No, they interviewed him twice, but they interviewed a bunch of other guys as well, and they
then
actually
landed
decided
on Belichick.
No, they knew that you were flip flopping to Kansas City, and they're like, "Well, we thought about getting Belichick, but since Anthony's not here anymore." We're going to go in a different direction.
Raheem Morris, but he's not. He hasn't won nearly as many championships, obviously. But
he
Belichick,
won.
Not as a head coach.
No.
Yeah, no. So he hasn't won any as a head coach, but nonetheless, very good quarterback. Now, if you all can get that quarterback situation. Very good head coach. If you all can get that quarterback situation fixed, you got a lot of talent there, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna happen though.
Okay. I've been seeing like the Russell Wilson things.
Why the
hell would they acquire Russell Wilson?
He's not leaving Denver. He's owed too much money.
Yeah, he's stuck.
They're stuck. Hey, idiots.
Anthony, how would you feel if Kirk Cousins became your quarterback?
I feel fine with that.
Fast lane fine?
No, it's like a little better than fast lane.
Is that
fine.
I'll probably make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Probably.
We could win
the division around.
Yes, we can win that division. Kirky Cousins. Yeah. I mean, look, Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not great, but he's a good quarterback.
Good singer, good dancer.
No doubt.
Art Star Award winner.
Do I want him? Do I want him? No, absolutely not. I want the young guy that's going to bring me some excitement.
Penix Jr.
Well, we just did a segment on the rookie deal. Doesn't look like you're going to. Yeah, he won't win you a Super Bowl. Kirk Cousins, though, I mean, he's got the little brain cap.
There you go.
Science.
Now I'm depressed again. Why don't we wrap up the show next?
Cole's cash.
I want to win ESPN. is Fastlane on 101 ESPN. If you missed anything from today's show, we got you covered. Download the podcast at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 ESPN mobile app. Podcast all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Well, we did sneak in some blues throughout the show. As you can imagine, we talked all about the Super Bowl, and we will turn the page going tomorrow. Talk a lot more Blues and Cardinals for the foreseeable future. But spent a lot of time talking about Kyle Shanahan, the overtime, the greatness of Patrick Mahomes, the nothing burger that was Travis Kelce and Andy Reid on the sidelines. Broke down whether or not you need a quarterback on a rookie contract to win a Super Bowl. Not the case over the last 10 years, but you also have to have one of the greatest of all time in order to win.
That helps.
So that's all available on the podcast. All right, let's do Bet the Board. Carey, what do you got?
All right. I'm going to go Golden State Warriors. I told you they're winners of 7 of the last 8, I think.
They're in
minus
Salt Lake City.
1, or against the Utah Jazz on the road. These guys have been playing really well. Balling, trying to get back into the Western Conference and make a push for the playoffs. They are actually playing really well. Their guys are getting back healthy. Gary Payton Jr. is the second, is back healthy. Draymond is not suspended anymore.
There you go.
Good for them.
So Warriors -1.
Warriors -1.
Marsh?
I think I'm going to do some NHL tonight. And I'm looking at the Seattle Kraken against the New Jersey Devils. +110. Give me the Kraken straight up.
All right. Give me the Vegas Golden Knights -146 against Minnesota. Vegas 7-2-1 over the last 10. They're 19-5-2 at home. They're under that -150 threshold, so give me Vegas.
Did Jamie get his pick in?
Yep, he's going with Arizona.
Yeah, he loves Arizona tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers in Philly. Yeah, he sees something that a lot of us. Yeah. He sees something in Arizona that we don't. So, all right, Marsh, what do you got? 3 stars or criticism, compliment, whatever you want to do.
You guys are hilarious.
All right, we'll make this quick. From the 618, y'all, I seriously hate talk radio 100%. 99%. You guys are hilarious and pulled me right after I stumbled upon the show.
Nice.
Y'all are the only reason I even watched the NFL playoffs.
Whoa.
Good job, boys.
Appreciate it.
That's one of the best compliments ever. Thank you. That was
Appreciate
fantastic. Thank you.
All right, let's go through our 3 stars of the day. We'll start off with the San Francisco Giants. I mentioned them in a SportsCenter update, how they lost in the Super Bowl.
Did you?
Yeah, so that is not the case.
I miss that.
Our second star of the day goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers for dropping and releasing Mitch Trubisky.
Mitchie football.
Yeah.
How do you think that era is defined?
No.
Well, all right.
And our final star of the day goes to all the football or all the non-football fans that are out there that are glad the NFL season is over.
All right, there you go. We got instant replay coming up from 6 to 7 for Andrew Marsh, for Carey Davis, for Jamie Rivers on the road. I'm Anthony Stalter. Thanks for listening. See ya.